we'll start with the meeting. I'll open the meeting at 9:11 a.m. Thank you for your attendance and good morning, councillors. Okay, do we have, shall we do the leave of absence or the minutes first?
Let's do the leave of absence first. Yep.
Righto. So do we have someone, Councillor O'Neill?
I move that apologies be received and leave of absence granted for councillors Ladbroke and Taylor for the meeting.
Okay. And do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Okay, so that will make it 7-0. Righto. Now, moving on, do we have anyone for confirmation of the minutes held on the 24th of May? Councillor Guthrie.
Yeah, I'm happy to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 24th of May 2023 be confirmed.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hancock, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, was there a special meeting there, I think, too?
Yes. Page 27.
Page 27. Okay, so do we have anyone to move confirmation of the minutes on the 29th of May for the special meeting? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 29th of May 2023 and scheduled to commence at 4 p.m. be confirmed.
We have a seconder. Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0.
Page 31.
Okay, page 31. 8.1, innovation strategy, key
I'm
performance.
sorry, no, just the minutes for the second special
Oh,
meeting.
second special meeting. Okay, gotcha, thank you. Okay, well, do we have anyone to move on the minutes of the special meeting on the 29th of May? Second special meeting. They were both on the same day, weren't
That's
they?
right.
Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 29th of May 2023 and scheduled to commence at 4:30 p.m. be confirmed.
Oh, yeah, that's good. We have a second, Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, now moving on to 8.1, innovation strategy, key performance indicator. I'd like to move that Council 1 receive a monthly report on efficiency and productivity feedback and solutions from business units and small work groups as a key performance indicator in relation to Council's innovation strategy as part of the 23-24 operational plan. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone? I'll speak to it. I believe this is a very important thing that probably hasn't been implemented yet, is each work group that a director would hope, or we delegate to the CEO, but each month having a meeting and getting the feedback. I was only at a meeting last night where some of that feedback from staff had a very positive outcome for the community, and getting this feedback and basically freeing up the lines of being able to empower the staff on the coalface to innovate and make improvements to council for the benefit of the community and the ratepayers will be great. So I believe this is a very important thing, and I'll be supporting it wholeheartedly. Okay, Councillor Guthrie.
I'd also like to agree with that and say that we are in the process of doing the operational plan. We have gone out to community consultation, and one of the things that I believe that this will enable is for feedback to be received on a regular basis both internally and externally, about how the changes that we've brought about, particularly with going locally, are actually providing positive and also notable successes.
Okay. Councillor Hancock?
I'm a bit confused, Mr Mayor, by what Councillor Guthrie just said. We're not going out for community consultation on our operational plan.
No. Can I clarify? We have been undertaking consultation for the operational plan that we are currently in the process of doing for the corporate plan. Sorry, did I say operational? Sorry, corporate plan. Thank you for the pickup. We have been out seeking information, so this would just be a evaluating, I think. So thank you for the pickup.
But the operational plan is this will be internal.
Yeah, for staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for staff.
Monthly
And,
KPI, yep.
and we would get it back in a report each month, like we get from the directors, but have all the feedback from each individual work group. And that will be very powerful, I believe, for council.
And would the CEO pick which of the work groups? I get the business units, they're pretty cut and dry, but the work groups are.
Look, through the chair, if this report gets up to date, what we will do is work on a format for that makes sense, and that can be done simply and effectively. You've got this already probably at a broader level included in the local area director briefings, but in reading this report, it's actually showing more of that micro level, is capturing those ideas and reporting through that. So we'll work on that format and bring that.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Just a question.
Please go ahead.
Just in the background, can you just clarify for me the last line? The report should include feedback from individual business units, I get that, that supports the above. Supports what?
Well, basically, whether it's the right wording and what I'm meaning there is that
You want feedback, don't you, if they
Yeah.
don't support it as well?
Improvements, efficiencies and ideas, isn't it?
yeah. So basically, for instance, if the plumbers in Mitchell or Roma are saying that they're frustrated that they can't get this piece of machinery or something is an issue, it could be people in the office in accounts that are doing it and they say the printer doesn't work and we've been trying to get it fixed, and all of those things, that if they're roadblocks and if the directors are talking about efficiency, and then they go, well, it'd be good if you could fix the printer. Or, I'm not saying that's an example, but like these things do happen in business. Could be unreliable performance of machinery. It could be anything. It could be, why can't we do that? Instead of getting someone to come in to do it, we could do it internally. There's all these things that staff could bring up.
Which could be the good things and the not so good things.
Oh, no
Yeah,
doubt.
all right, because
No doubt.
as long as that language is clear to the staff, because that's not clear in that line there.
Well, I think everything that they would be doing, like for instance, if they're not happy about something, that would be not supporting productivity, and we should be hearing about it. And for us, it's at a strategic level, getting to see that report. Like it's been beneficial just getting the general director reports from the local areas as well. Councillor Burkett.
Mr Mayor, I'm supporting this. As an ex-council employee, just one thing that does restrict you or could hinder your performance in a way is if you're forever offering up solutions and you're getting suppressed from above. Like if you're not getting that opportunity to express ways that could be better, some people just come to work and just do their job, won't contribute in a positive way, as continually getting knockback. So I think something like that, this is a good idea, and I think we did speak about this a lot when we went to the restructure, and I think it's good to see that back and forth communication between all staff, I think, because it does offer solutions. It could be negative stuff, but it's good to have some negative stuff be flushed out, so I think this is a good thing.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Just a question, sorry.
Please
Yeah.
go.
Sorry.
We've got a question from Councillor Hancock, then Councillor Edwards.
Just thinking about it, this is a report back to council, so that we're informed about this efficiencies and all problems. Is monthly too much? Should it be 3 monthly? I'm just thinking about workload for staff, and also that time that they're taking. Like obviously, I'm assuming they're having staff meetings and this stuff can be, filtered up. But I'm just actually, I know that monthly sounds good, but months just go so quick, and then that's another report that we're providing on a monthly basis. I just am asking the CEO whether that monthly would be a bit too much, or whether we just need to know even on a quarterly basis or something like that.
Look, through the chair, we do meet with our staff monthly right across the organisation. Really, until you kind of live it, you don't really know whether that's a lot. The difference, I think, from what we're currently doing, which is the local area directors talk about it in general, as long as they instrumentalise it in such a way that it actually is simple and easy to do, I think it's not onerous. And you would imagine that over time maybe it does get smaller and you might change episodic
Well, it might
reporting.
not be something every month.
But in the beginning, just listening to what Councillor Burke has said, there might be some, a whole lot of ideas that people are bringing up in the beginning over the first, 3 months, 6 months, whatever.
'Cause
And then
if
it
you
slowly tapers off, and then you can look at it, the frequency of that after.
Councillor
I'm
Guthrie.
sure that the one thing you don't want to do is have a report on efficiencies, but the actual way of getting the information becomes inefficient.
It's not yeah.
That would be the
Sure.
balance I'd
Yep.
be cautioning.
Sure.
Can I just ask a question following on from what Councillor Hancock and Councillor Burkett have said? If we are getting reports on efficiency and productivity, does that mean, when the effort's being done, as you're saying, if the effort's being done would it be embedded in this that then staff are given access to or given out in a way that's suitable? Because if people are going to the trouble of compiling a report on efficiencies and productivity, the most positive thing is that those who are part of enabling the efficiencies and productivity, they need to get feedback about, and they need to get the picture too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So is that embedded? So the question is, it's got to go up and down. Is that embedded in what you're attempting to present, Mr. Mayor, or is that included in?
Look, through the chair, I'd see there'd be probably a line here where you can ask for the KPI, but the organisation would practice that process internally about, well, how do we celebrate ideas and efficiencies and feedbacks? You don't need to give us that instruction at your level, but you need to talk about the KPI from the operational plan because you have direct influence. And look, working through this process is there may be the potential to link this to your reward and recognition stuff as well, as to go, well, you've got a current resolution on the books and we're in the process of working through a reward and recognition program. That's organisation-wide, but there may be a link here that we could put two things together to support that other resolution as well as the broader recognition of reward and recognition stuff. So I think we can make it work is probably what I'm saying, and definitely spreading the news about the good ideas I think is really important internally for staff, for the very reason Councillor Burkett says, to feel empowered in your job that somebody's listening.
And it's no good reinventing the wheel. Like if something's working in Roma and they've been battling for it in Bendemeer or whatever, share that news and it might save them a lot of heartache or vice versa. But and I think, and there's going to be people and it's like that in the general community, always thinking glass half empty. We need to try to, they might be like that for all their lives, but if you can start doing this, it might flip that over a bit, so I think it's a good thing.
The way I read it, it's sort of like evidence of the cultural change, is that if we're working at a strategic level talking about improvements and efficiencies, we're working at a senior management level about efficiencies and et cetera, it just has to be drip-fed down to the bottom. And what this KPI will do is show that it is actually coming from the bottom up.
Yep.
And so becomes that. But what we do with all those ideas and stuff, we can then, the executive in preliminary discussions, knowing it's in here, is that we'll look at how we measure it. Is obviously ideas are one thing, acting on those ideas is another, and then what's the benefit is how do we quantify the benefit back to council. We'll look at that too.
Definitely got to listen to the ideas.
And things don't get solved overnight, so by having the monthly report, if we need to do something that's to do with strategic, then we can take that feedback and get onto it, and the quicker we get onto it, the quicker we can hopefully get something in place. If it's at a strategic or budget level that can't be solved at an operational level. Councillor Edwards.
I was just going to mention that, we've invested in this, as it says, new organisational structure, and that was a fairly lengthy and time-consuming and costly exercise, probably. So I think this is the next missing link, the next step that needs to be incorporated into the whole overall plan. And I certainly fully support it. So yeah, I'll be voting, certainly voting for it.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. 8.2, introduction of curbside pickup to implement recycling. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that Council 1 endorse the allocation of $50,000 for a concept plan for the construction of a materials recovery facility at the Roma Waste Facility.
Councillor McMullen, it's the report before that.
Sorry, I've turned.
Page 32.
Sorry, the wrong page, sorry.
32.
33.
33.
No, 32. 32.
Oh, it was 33.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll start again.
Well, mine says 32, introduction of curbside pickup.
No, I've got,
That's the right one. He was reading the page 34
Page
one.
32, but unless my numbers are
mine's
wrong.
33.
Yeah,
So it's mine.
yours are different to, yeah, okay.
Righto. But anyway, as long as you've got that 8.2, we're right.
I just turned the page.
Can
8.2.
I ask a question?
Yeah.
And it may have no relevance to what you're about to do, Deputy Mayor. Given a confidential report later in the meeting and some of the recommendations in that, is this in sync?
Yeah, I was wondering
No.
that myself when I was reading it.
No, this is different. Which one are we referring to now?
Well,
You've got 8.2, 8.3 and
Yeah,
I think
LC1.
8.2, there's an element of your recommendation that does have an implication to that decision later in the meeting. So I just wondered, do we talk about that first and then come back to this? It's like it's a cart before the horse, and it's just the sequencing of the reports in the agenda.
Just lay it on the table.
And I can't tell you what I think it is because we're in open.
yeah, I know what you mean, but no,
But won't you just move to lay on the table to further?
this one needs to go.
Well, Mayor, could you just adjourn for a minute?
Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting. Go on with the meeting. Righto. Councillor McMullen.
We'll lay 8.2 on the table till later in the meeting.
Okay, all those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. 8.3, investigate the construction of materials recovery facility. Do we have a mover?
Now I'll move that Council 1 endorse the allocation of $50,000 for a concept plan for the construction of a materials recovery facility at the Roma Waste Facility or other suitable location as part of the 2023-24 budget, to include this item as part of the 2023-24 operational plan, with the plan to be completed in Q1 and no later than Q2.
So the difference there was materials recovery facility as part of the 23-24 budget or other suitable locations. Anyway.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Mr Mayor, I just think we've got to get on the front foot with this. The Darling Down Southwest Waste Strategy Plan's just about formalised. We've been led to believe that there's going to be funding started to come to fruition, and I think Maranoa being part of that waste levy scheme, I think when the time comes to start shutting our local tips landfills down, anyone in that waste levy scheme will be the first ones to get hit. So I think we need to get on the front foot and just start looking at things.
Okay, Councillor Hancock,
I have a question.
please go ahead.
Deputy Mayor, we're just wondering where you got the 50,000 from. I'm for it, I'm just,
It's going, well, asking to be put in the budget.
yeah, so how do we know it's gonna cost
Oh,
50,000?
I've just gone on what other plan, we've allocated 50,000 for other conceptual plans, that's all, yeah.
Yeah, right,
yeah.
so, yeah, no.
I haven't got any
There's no-
quotes.
Sorry,
Well, there's no,
Chair, I couldn't hear what councillor Hancock was saying then.
Just through the chair, councillor Hancock just raised with councillor McMullen, where did the $50,000 figure come from? And councillor McMullen's response was that he was just using the benchmark of other conceptual plans that council's done. He hasn't got an estimate or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor O'Neill?
Just a question as well. We've spoken about there's other elements of the Roma refuse site that needs some planning and some upgrades, you know, staff accommodation and toilets and all of that.
Where is that?
At the Roma refuse site. Do we do this all at the same time, so it's an overall plan? I mean, I support it.
Yeah.
But if we're doing other stuff out there, and you know, is there appetite to include that we explore?
a total plan.
The total plan, which you know we've thrown around, and Deputy Mayor, you've been in these conversations as well. That are we at a point now where we should have a shop, a refuse shop? I mean, there's a lot of gear being put aside out there now. There could be more, and like other regional councils to the east of us have gone, they've included these shops as well. So is it broader than just a concept plan for the you know, the matter that you've got before us, the materials recovery facility, to having a look at the other buildings as well?
Well, the reason I've gone this way is because we're uncertain whether we can fit it out there yet.
Okay.
And that's till we do some exploring or inquiries on some of the land there. And secondly, the MRF, as it's called, would be, from what I've seen, I've only seen one, it's a separate standalone infrastructure. And so, I mean, yeah, it could be added in, but I mean...
With the dollar value I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
that 50,000 is a fair chunk of money for a concept plan. It could be broader than just the MRF.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying, but until I spoke to the people that built the MRF, that own the MRF over there, so...
The only question is, does it dilute what you want to do by just, if you focus on the MRF, that's
I think that's the main focus. My intention, the main focus is the MRF, no matter where it is getting built, so
Okay,
it may
that'll
not even
do.
end up out at the dump.
okay. So I don't know who was first. Anyway, so Councillor Guthrie and Hancock.
Mine's
So-
just a quick question to say, would you like to maybe consider endorse the allocation of up to $50,000, which means that you've got like a ballpark figure, but it may not be that amount of money.
I suppose, yeah.
Councillor Hancock.
If it comes in less than that, it's less than that.
That's
anyway.
right, yeah.
But, I'm just wondering, since you're sort of saying, you know, whether it will even fit out there and that sort of stuff, that, I mean, I'm fully supportive of this too. It's just about whether we do that bigger plan for the whole site, because my only thing is if we're looking at a space for it, do we need to actually be looking at the space for everything to know if it doesn't fit there, could it fit here? And then,
Well,
but is there any other?
The other
plans for that?
additional that's been brought up would have to be down near the weighbridge, for the staff facilities. You wouldn't, you know, if the MRF was put up and up the other end where we're talking about the other block, you still would have your staff stuff at the weighbridge, I believe, because that's the people that are working there at the moment, yeah. And I would imagine the MRF will have its own not shower, but have a toilet block in it.
Can I make a suggestion? Could you endorse the allocation of $50,000 for a concept plan over the Roma refuse site, including the construction of a materials recovery facility at the Roma waste facilities part of the 23-24? That will give some broader scope to look at the entire
Yeah,
site.
I'm happy to add a couple.
Just before you do though, just noting that you made a change to the original
Or other
recommendation.
suitable
Or other
locations, these
suitable
days.
locations.
that'll change the
I can't
plan.
emphasise enough that the current site hasn't been master planned, so
No.
there's issues in relation to the resource recovery area as it is, and you've got to open the potential for additional locations, and that probably talks to another report in confidential further on in the meeting. It's,
That's
we're
the-
running into tenure problems, in other words.
If we
and-
decide,
and-
if the decision's made down the track to put it in another area,
Yep.
I get it.
that's what just sort of,
It's just that there's a lot of land sales on the site that are
that's what,
relatively poorly planned.
worry about how much,
It's that extra bit,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would complicate it.
Yep.
So what are we doing?
Come back with a different.
And the only other thing is
Right.
whether you want to include words like explore the concept cost of a retail facility as part of the
well, I'm happy to
the
add a
proposal or
third
something
dot
like that.
point in just to cover
add
that
another
extra
prompt.
additional stuff at the Roma dump. Explore the costs of,
The concept cost of a retail facility,
Yeah.
and, bring a future report back to council or something like that, so that you get an understanding of going,
Yeah, that
it's
covers
in,
it.
you've got money, but also too, if you can do a bit more, you get a report back.
Oh, well, is it just of the retail
Okay,
facility?
so-
Is
Well,
it a
not just
concept,
re-
it's
it's
of
the-
the whole master plan, the site?
Look, through the chair, a master plan of that site is certainly not going to be done cheaply. We have the director in the room, and you had put up some proposals in the budget in relation to the master plan. And what was your, what was your basic sort of costs that you thought we should be allocating to a master plan?
I can't remember the exact costs off the top of my head, CEO, but I put up 3 projects. One of the projects was to do a master plan, but that wasn't just, that was a master plan of the site, but also looking at a whole range of other smaller projects so that we can achieve compliance over that whole site. I suppose the flexibility of being able to look at other locations is we don't have a lot of virgin land on that site, as you probably appreciate. So to build stuff on landfill is very expensive, and I would probably be recommending that we at least have the opportunity to explore other sites, only just so you can weigh up the costs and look at the virgin land that you've got left on the Roma landfill facility, and then look at other sites. So there are other locations around Queensland where a bulking up or a material recoveries facility aren't actually located at the landfill. They can be located separately, and then any residual waste that aren't recovered or can't be used are then transported to your waste facility. So having that flexibility gives me the flexibility to just be able to prepare and look at those options to bring back to council to make an informed decision. But the master plan project, I think we'll probably put something up at Q1 next financial year to try and get the funding allocated to do that. So we need an overall strategy for that site so that I can help you make informed decisions going forward on that waste facility.
And in your opinion, obviously $50,000 for a concept plan for a MRF would be a reasonable allocation, but if you're looking at something more significant.
Yeah, yes, I think the allocation, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was more up around the 100,000 mark. But sorry.
you gave me copies of it.
Yes,
You've got
you'd probably-
78 for the
78
master,
was
for
it?
the
Yeah,
master plan,
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
One of the
Sorry, question. So 78,000 for the master
that's
plan.
what Leah,
And would that master plan have
A MRF in
a
it.
MRF in it?
Not necessarily, no, the master plan's broken down a whole range. I've broke that down into a whole lot of different projects,
So I'm thinking if we
but it
put
wasn't inclusive of
$50,000, It's
a...
not much more than to put 78 and do do it.
Look, I think, sorry, through the chair, I think that ask of 50 is not, it's in the ballpark to develop a feasibility and look at concept plans for a material recovery facility.
So, directly, yeah, so it could, if you went up to 100, say, potentially they could include the lot. Master plan and the MRF, like, have that flexibility.
Oh, I think we could certainly try and squeeze it, but that
I'm not talking about putting it in together, I'm just talking figures, that was all.
yeah.
Mr Mayor, I agree with everything that's being said, but I think we should keep this separate because the funding programs that we believe will be coming out after this, that's what I'm trying, just,
Are you happy with that additional one at the bottom?
Yeah, that's
just to
fine,
start
yeah,
the process there,
yeah.
because there's a lot of gear there.
And through the chair, just to support the Deputy Mayor's notice of motion, is the state government actually announced yesterday, the fact that this funding will be coming through. So we've sort of got to get the ducks in a row, so we're ready to go.
Yep.
Okay, so is the mover and the second happy with what's on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to it?
Mr Mayor, I think I'm happy with everything that's been said.
Righto. Okay, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. 8.4, Roma landfill lease for tyre manufacturing.
Procurement.
Through the chair,
Page 35?
35.
sorry, I'll just, excuse me, I just,
We should be on 11.1, procurement for construction graders.
Oh, that must be part of that last report, is it?
no, it's funny, yeah, okay. Then, I think for some reason yours isn't right. Okay, so I think, anyway, just through the chair, that's the right report.
Righto.
Just your page numbers are different to everybody
Okay.
else's.
Item 11.1, recommendation to procure 4 construction graders. I would like to move that council, select Hastings Deering Australia Limited as recommended suppliers for 2 Caterpillar 150 graders at a total cost of, well, you'd have to halve that, wouldn't you? So 1 million,
Let me just
have
have
to
a
get
look.
a calculator.
Apologies.
Can I just
What
ask
have
a
we got?
question, Mr Mayor?
Yeah,
582.
please
Have
go.
you read the latest email too about the?
Just through the chair, noting that this report was here, I did get some advice from the Department of Local Government just in relation to procurement. Councils can commit to purchasing graders and committing to trade-in. Under the Act, you are actually able to do that. So if you changed anything in this report, you've got every legislative lever to do that, and I just thought that just might make it clearer if you wanted to do something, noting it's one of the recommendations sitting in the back of the report. So Hastings Deering Caterpillar 150s were a purchase price per machine of $582. Sorry, up through the chair, we have Ollie with us, so you might be able to give us the numbers.
I didn't bring a calculator with me,
Okay,
but
righto.
according to the report, the Caterpillar 150 graders are a price excluding GST and registration of $582,000.
Yep. So it should be
Can I ask a question while we're working the figure out?
Please go.
1164.
Just with the tenders that went out, or the quotations, would that price be because we asked them to quote on 4? Like, would they have given us a better? I'm just a bit concerned
know
if we
what you
just
mean.
decide to halve
Yeah,
it.
we did ask for 4,
That's
yes.
right. So we
so
might not be the same price if we're only going to get 2.
So, but we can put it, authorise the CEO final negotiations and that, and they can go and find
Yeah.
that out, and if it's not.
Million one hundred and
Bring
sixty-four
it
thousand.
back, yep. And you've got that ability in there.
Yeah.
And so you wanted 2, and did you want to
And then,
continue?
what I would like to move is 2 of the John Deeres with the, guaranteed purchase price.
Which ones, Mr Mayor?
What was the recommendation on which model? What page is that on?
That
Mine might be different.
On the third page, you've got it's through the chair, councillors. On the third page of your report, you've got the breakdown of the specifications for the 2 different John Deere graders. You've got a 770 GP, which is a slightly more powerful grader as far as torque and basically torque for the operator and more horsepower. And then you've got the 670, which is slightly less of the 150.
Which would be the recommendation if they went to John Deere out of the 2 models?
The recommendations that we received back from our staff through the consultation period was that they preferred the 150s. That was the recommendation from the staff.
The Caterpillars, wasn't it?
The
Yeah.
Caterpillars.
So staff wanted the Caterpillar.
is the question you're asking, what's the
Caterpillars.
difference between the 2?
But if we're going the John Deeres, which out of the 2 John Deeres is what, is
Better model.
the better model?
One of the comments we did get from one of our staff was that they'd like a Caterpillar with the John Deere power.
Yeah, right.
But again, you're talking a Deere grader on the 770, and the 770 GP is coming in at 638.
Councillor
Okay.
McMullen?
Mr Mayor, can I suggest that we lay this on the table to the next meeting to get the staff to check on, like the question Councillor Hancock's raised, if we cut it in half, so to speak, whether there'd be any
Change in price.
change in pricing, you know what I mean?
Yep. No, that's good.
And,
The next meeting's on the 28th. Is that going to be enough time for you to receive that kind of response?
Just lay it on the table till later in the meeting.
Later
Yeah,
in the meeting.
and potentially
later
we
on.
can ask that question.
Can I just, before we do, just add it, so if you went 2 of the Deere John Deeres and 2 of the Cats, it's 2,444,000, which comes in 100,000 or so under the recommended price for the 4 Cats, just to throw that out there.
Yeah, so I'll move that we laid this item on the table till later in the meeting to get information that if council did go with the John Deeres for 2 of them, which John Deere to go with, and also is there any change in the quoted price for 2 rather than 4 as per the tenders? Also, to receive if there is service life costs available for the machines for 5,000 hours and what those costs would be.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, please go ahead.
It seems to be an important thing. I'm not sure we're getting the information back, but just on what the operators want, you know. So when we come back, is there any chance of? I mean, you may have already asked this question, but I'm just
It is in the report.
just aware that the operators are the people who are on them, and they're the ones who really are, an important cog in this whole thing. So
It's in the
I'd
report.
like to know. Yeah, I know, but we
It's
just
the
mentioned it
Cats.
before about. Yeah, but what do they want from the manager there? Like,
That's on
or-
page 43.
Page
Yeah.
43.
Yeah. Look, the thing that I would just highlight is the one difference between the 2 suppliers is that you do have a guaranteed trade back in relation to your John Deere graders. So in other words, if you want to reduce reduce your supply risk and also lock in your turnover costs, you can do that. And I just note the Mayor's request for service life costs, whilst that mightn't be part of the purchasing decision, you can buy a maintenance contract with the purchase of the graders at the same time. And we certainly do know we're having some issues around vacancies around mechanics. So you have the ability to add to this if you want to reduce your risk further. But is that
Yep.
where you're coming from?
So that means that, and obviously we've talked in this chamber about turning them over at 5,000, having a guaranteed trade-in price would mean that it would be serviced for the life through the OEM supplier, and then they would take it back, and then this amount of money we're spending today would approximately be half because we're not funding the whole purchase when we're trading things in the future. For the next one, I mean. So, yeah.
Leveraging the amount of money you're spending each year to
Yeah.
get you more.
So we'd only have to really fund the trade-in price, not the whole lot.
The difference between the
Yeah,
trade and the
so we haven't
purchase.
gone to the vote on laying on the table till later in the meeting. All
Yep,
those in
thank you.
favour?
Who moved that?
I did.
Yep,
yes,
7-0.
okay. So is that clear? Yep.
It's clear, just through the chair, to get this in writing from those 2 suppliers, I don't think I'll get it back
Look,
today.
no, just through the chair, even if you get a verbal understanding,
Get a verbal-
that at least allows council to go, we're putting up a valid motion, and
Yeah,
we've got the ability to delegate to the CEO to finalise negotiations, so.
Okay, so, not a
So
problem.
if we asked, look, we might buy 2 instead of 4, the deal's the same, but also the service life costs as well,
Service life costs.
because I think they do offer them now on yellow plant, so.
Yes, I think both organisations would.
Yep,
Mr.
no
Mayor,
problem.
Sorry, can we ask that if CAT can do the same trade-in deal as?
Yeah, I don't.
No, they don't. They'll
don't.
do the trade back, where
The guaranteed trade.
the guaranteed trade back, where the John Deere's the buyback. The John Deere's the buyback. But that's also on the condition of the equipment.
Yeah.
Can you just explain what the difference is between a trade back and a buyback?
Trade back is that we're committed to that price. The buyback is where it's optional whether we engage that or not.
Yeah.
So that offer is there. If we choose to not engage that buyback and continue with that grader for another 3,000 hours, we're there. We can do that. Where the trade back is, we're committed to that.
Sorry, so which company does buyback and which does trade back?
Trade back's Caterpillar, buyback is John Deere or Radio.
Yeah.
And we've had, just maybe before your time, but we've had pretty major issues from mechanics that we're spending money on old gear and we shouldn't be, and it's never in warranty. So this is about, trying to rectify that, so we're not spending money, we're just tipping them out and getting good resale. But if you do have trade back with CAT, did you get a price on that?
I wasn't the author of this report.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, but there is prices in that report.
Through the chair, the trade back figure wasn't quoted in the report.
Oh,
Yep.
right.
So,
Yep.
So if there is one for the CAT, if we could get the trade back figure that they estimate for
Okay, then.
that time. Yeah.
Okay.
Righto. Okay, we got everything? Righto.
It stays on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and that's page 11.2, which is my page 50, but you might be page 49 or something.
11.2.
I don't know why you've got different page numbers.
Okay, 11.2, assignment of Roma Airport car park lease and licence. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mayor, I'll move that Council 1 approve the assignment of the kiosk lease and car park licence currently held by John Day Holdings Proprietary Limited to King Mill Proprietary Limited for the balance of the term of the current lease and licence. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to sign the assignment document on behalf of Council to formalise the arrangement.
We have a second, Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it?
No, I'm pretty...
We're going to go to the vote then. All those in favour?
Yes.
6-0.
Who was the seven?
Councillor Burkett's gone.
Yeah, right. Okay.
12.1, request for tender 230.
56.
Draft operational plan.
I don't have that one.
Mr Mayor, it's a big one.
Should all have an A3.
Yeah.
Done the airport.
Yeah, airport.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, we'll just adjourn for a minute while I have a look at the page.
Yep.
Righto, we're back again. 11.3, draft operational plan 2022-23. Do we have a mover? We didn't have a mover.
Mr Mayor, did you read that out wrong?
Draft operational plan 2023-24, or did I say 22-23?
Yeah, you
I?
did, that's what I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to move that council receive the draft 2023-24 operational plan as presented. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. .4. Investment policy. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Excuse me. I'll move, Mr Mayor, that the investment policy be adopted.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Through the chair, did we?
Yes.
Seconder there?
Yep, councillor Burkett.
Yeah, thank you, just,
And that's 7-0. Okay, moving on to
page
84, thank you. 11.5, dividend payment policy. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that the dividend payment policy be adopted.
Have a seconder? Councillor Hancock.
Through the chair, Director Eric, would you please explain the policy?
Sorry, please explain the.
Please explain this dividend policy, because it's a new policy for council.
Correct, yeah. So what this is about, and you'll also, I'll also bring you to your attention what I'm proposing for this year. So this policy is about in a very short, succinct way, is having an understanding about what our business units will be either contributing to the general fund or what the general fund will be subsidising those particular business units due to our community service obligations. And I think that's pretty all about it. It's not it's nothing fantastic. What it does do is it does start to bring away a little bit of a different way of looking at how those business units actually operate and how they perform. And you can start to see that that what is actually being contributed to the general fund, because I can see that there's a lot of angst around how we talk about the reserves especially and what the historical items are. This basically sets the gate for the year, and then at the end of the year you get a wash up to say what has actually happened, and then you start again at the following year. So instead of trying to look at it from a historical perspective, you start looking at it how it's performing through the year and what the asset management plans are informing that particular business unit. So does that give you a bit of an idea?
So all the profit, if there is a profit, it's all transferred
Correct.
into just one big bucket of money?
Yes.
And then if there's a loss,
less capital and also less capital expenditure as well. So it takes capital expenditure into account as well too.
that we're saving towards?
No, what it's saying is if you are making $100,000 for the year and you're going to spend $100,000 on capital for the year, then there'll be a nil amount transferred through to the general fund. If you make $100,000 and you spend $50,000 on capital, you'll transfer $50,000 to the general fund. If you make $100,000 and you spend $150,000 on capital, then the assumption is that you will need to support that business unit for $50,000.
So what if, let's use a quarry for example, they need a new piece of machinery?
Yep.
That maybe wasn't in the budget.
Yep.
Something breaks, something happens, they need a new piece of machinery.
Yep.
Are we leaving anything in that fund to be able to purchase that machinery? Like, where does that money then come from? We have to take that out of.
So what we do is we do a wash up at the end of the year to see what has actually happened throughout that particular year, and we don't just make a comparison as to what we've actually budgeted compared to what has actually happened, and that gives you a bit of an informed view as to whether that's been a good thing for that business unit or whether that's been a bad thing for the business unit.
And through the chair, it just supports probably the conversation. Say, for argument's sake, if you've got commercial facilities and they ordinarily return you a dividend, is when you actually do come up with something like that, the dialogue changes from what's in the reserve to this business unit provides us a dividend of X each year. In order to do that capital expense, this will mean that we reduce our dividend or have to contribute money from the general fund back into the business unit to do that. All the dividend policy is allowing you to do is talk in terms of dividends or not dividends, and it just changes the what's in the reserve, conversation, which can often be very complex. When quite simply, it's really about if it's a commercial business unit, and it's contributing a dividend to you. In all your financial discussions around purchasing, it's about, will this affect our dividend? If so, by how much? Will it still contribute a dividend to us, or will we have to actually use the general fund to actually top that business unit up? It's just changing the conversation, not the really what happens in the back end from an accounting perspective. Does that make sense?
So it's really more about reporting and a different way of reporting what we're doing already. It's not physically changing anything.
No.
You're just talking in terms of commercial terms, really, especially around it's about your commercial facilities. Is actually talking in terms of this provides a dividend back to council, or this doesn't provide a dividend back to council because something's changed. Therefore, when we look at our policy setting each year and we're talking about our budget, we may be saying is we're contributing to this commercial business unit from general funds of X in order to do ABC.
What happens with depreciation?
The dividend is after depreciation. So it's not based on a cash flow, not based on free cash flow, it's based on a dividend.
So how do you know, like when it just all goes into one pool, how do you know, how do you know if you can afford something?
It does currently now.
I understand that, but also in our head, and you talk about history, and like for us, it's just about going, well, we're saving to be able to do something in the future.
Yep.
With that business unit, and that business unit should be able to generate its own money to be able to save, to be able to do something in the future.
But some don't.
That's correct.
Can't save.
That's
so what
right.
this starts
But
to
when
do.
we talk about like your airports and your quarries and
Yep.
and the sale
So
yards.
so the conversation now starts to change to what's the benefit to this particular business unit and what's its contribution to the organisation, instead of trying to understand what's it actually saved for us. It's actually about what the benefit is to the organisation moving forward, and that's where this particular conversation can go. So I'm just reframing it.
I'm happy to second that. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? We'll go to the vote.
Sorry,
Please go ahead.
I'll speak against it. I'm not going to support this because I don't think the conversation should change with our community. We have, in the past, had some very successful standalone business units of council, being the quarry, the sale yards, and the airport. It was incredibly transparent with the community, and I can speak most clearly to the airport, where we did generate dividends, and they were put into the surplus and the reserves of the airport. That was the money that was drawn on to invest in significant upgrades that needed to occur. It was very clear to the community that it was not general rates, it wasn't general reserve that was being used for that business unit. People could see that the airport was operating at a profit, and the reserves that were put aside were going into future investments. And I think that is the conversation that we should continue to have with our community. There are major concerns in our community at the moment around the sale yards and the financial sustainability of the sale yards. For me, having the conversation rests with the dividends that are borne by a profitable business unit, staying with that business unit can clearly illustrate that's where the investment should be drawn on in the first instance if we're going to improve the community's facilities. So for me, I don't think the conversation should change, particularly with the most visual business units of our council and our community being the airport, the sale yards and the quarry, and on that basis I won't be supporting the new policy.
Councillor McMullen?
Mr Mayor, I'll be supporting, because my understanding of it is each individual business unit will still have its ledger to say they transferred the profit of X amount of dollars into the main bucket. Now it's just going into the bucket. It's not saying, like, we know where it's come from, but it's not.
Yep. And look, through the chair, whilst I understand the comments in the chamber, just, for and against, the dividend policy just talks about it in commercial terms. The reality is the transactions that sit underneath that are still all in relation to the general fund. They're illusionary lines is what I'm saying. And from a dividend perspective, that's what the policy is. Just saying, look, here's the ability for council to talk in more commercial terms as opposed to, reserves, etc. That doesn't stop us doing all the work that we normally would to manage that money. It just talks about it in a slightly different way. But that's up to the chamber to support or not support the policy.
Okay, I'll speak for the motion. Yeah, Councillor Edwards, you please go
Would there be
first.
someone against that you'd be seeking?
Oh, yeah,
The mayor, the deputy mayor just
Yeah,
vote
look.
for it.
Well, yep,
Look.
that's right.
Well, does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Hancock?
Yeah, I'm going to speak against this because I actually think, whilst I understand that the accounting, it's not changing, I think the understanding is important when we look at business units separate. I run several different businesses, and when I look at my businesses, and they're all different, and when I look at my businesses, I like to look at them separately to know exactly what that business is doing and how it's going forward and how we're saving and how we're putting that money aside. And I think that it actually gives clear lines to the business units rather than piling all the money into one bucket and which I know happens now, but it's the terminology used for it. I just think that it is much clearer to have business units as standalone business units and that they're saving for themselves, because I think that's really good for the community to understand that that business unit is, and I understand that not all business units do, but that's a good understanding for the community to know that that business unit's not making a profit and council has to put in money towards that business unit. I think it is actually a better way to look at it when you're just keeping it clear cut for each business unit. And so that's why I just don't support this.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
I just got a question.
Please go ahead.
Mr Mayor, so Director, if the public ring up and say, I want a transparent look at each individual unit, we can supply that?
Yep, yes. I suppose another point to note is if we had declared any of these business units as significant activities, which council has the opportunity to, we would be disclosing that relevant information in the statutory accounts at the end of the year. None of our business units qualify under legislation to be a significant activity for council, and I'm not suggesting that be the case, but it just reinforces that disclosure around what those significant activities are and what their contributions are. So in particular, the one area that they do focus on in the legislation is around water, and they talk about the number of connections and the net assets of that particular unit of what they require for it to be classified as a significant activity. There is that requirement there to have that disclosure. So I'm not saying changing in any way the financial reporting or the revenues or the costs or anything like that. It's just a disclosure issue. That's what it's about.
Just through the chair, just for the benefit of the chamber, there is no separate trust accounts for our commercial business units, is
no.
it? It's all just one account.
I do believe, my understanding is that this is the way that councils operated around about 15 years ago, where they did have actual general funds and they had a water fund and they had a different various funds and they actually did accounting transactions in order to account for that. But I believe that went out of legislation around about 15 years ago, and now what they're trying to focus on is how you work with your asset management plans around supporting those particular business units. And yeah.
Okay, does someone wish to speak for the motion?
Yeah, I'll speak for it.
Please go ahead. Councillor Edwards, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I'll speak for it. I'm just, just going to say, in the report that's been given to us by Eric, you know, on I think it's page 89 or something, it just shows you what's going in and out of the funds anyway. I mean, you can see it. It's pretty transparent. And I think people, you know, if they want to know stuff, they can just look at, you know, things along those lines. I mean, it's got the, you know, CSO for general fund. It's got dividends for general fund. So, you know, you can see exactly what's going on there. And every area, water, sewage, gas, you know, quarry pits, etc., airports, sale yards, they've all got their own ledger there, basically. So you can see what's coming in and what's going out. You can see it from an operational point of view, and you can also see it from a capital point of view. So I think it's really transparent. As to reserves and what they can do, I mean, you can journalise things until the cows come home. Put this there, take that from there, whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, you can still break it down in a ledger format, and you can still see what's going on, regardless of how much money each section's making or what loss it's making. So, and you know, in regard to whether they do make money or not, it's a sign of the times whether they're making money or not, and whether they have to be propped up or not. So, you know, this is this is not something that's just happened overnight. It ebbs and flows, you know, over the decades, you know. So, but anyway, I'll be supporting this. I think it's just another indicator, or you know, it's something else that supports the fact that we are transparent. So I haven't got a problem with it at all.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion?
A question
Please go ahead.
through the chair to Director Eric. If you take quarries, for example, with this statement that's on page 89, and the dividend for the general fund is 548 round figures $1,000. Based on this policy, that would go into the overall reserves for the organisation. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then in next year's statement, there won't be an opening balance to illustrate that $548,000 was...
Correct.
There will be.
No, there won't be.
There won't be.
Yep.
I just want to be clear based on the conversation.
Yep.
Once it's been applied in this year, it's into the reserves and won't be accounted for in the next year's financials.
Won't be carried forward.
Yeah,
But what I say to you is, at the end of this year, we'll provide you an update to say what has actually happened.
Yeah, I've got a bit confused with the ins and outs. Next year, it won't illustrate that there is an opening balance of the... Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. In regards to Councillor O'Neill's comments about concerns about the sale yards, I do believe that Council has put quite a lot of extra depreciation in, because Council supported, I believe, about $6 million in a building out there. There is other costs that are in there. I think open and transparent is reporting things. So I believe when people are concerned, it's very important to see all the facts about the business units. And in regards to the airport, we had 2 community meetings about the costs of, one of the things was cost of high airfares in a situation when the airport was actually making a profit. And there is many times where the community benefit might be being affected by council making a profit. So I think as long as it's transparent and as long as it's open, I think we are here for the community first, to run a council organisation that is well run and efficiently run, but for community benefit. So I'll certainly supporting the transparency, and I thank the Director for having a policy in place which has not been done before, and it will be something that I'm sure that we will be able to publish, and the community will be able to see that in due course. Does the move wish to sum up? Right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
That's 5-2. All those
voted.
against?
Voted.
Oh, we haven't got, yep.
5-2. If I can call for a division. Okay, morning tea. We'll at the meeting. I don't think I've called it. 12.1, request for tender 2-3.
Gonna change the business name.
Yeah, we will, but 12.1, request for tender 23039, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Roads, Package 1. That I move that we change the order of business and deal with this item later in the afternoon.
Two items,
Later in the
There's two,
one after the other, Mr. Mayor, 12.1 and 12.2.
Councillor Guthrie might.
both a conflict, councillor Guthrie, with both, or just one?
One.
No, just one. Okay, so on 12.1, and
second that.
we have a seconder. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0. Okay, we're on to 12.2.
Page 97.
12.2, request for tender 23014, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Road package.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move,
please
declare
go
a
ahead.
conflict of interest.
Yeah, please go ahead.
A declaration of the description is agenda item 12.2, request for tender 23040, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Roadworks Package 2. Declaring councillor as myself, Jeff McMullen, person with the interest as myself, particular of interest, I have a business arrangement with DMAC, type of conflict, prescribed conflict of interest, no, be declarable, no. 'Cause I'm leaving the room. I'm declarable conflict of interest and I'll leave the room while the matter's discussed and voted on.
So, councillor McMullen, did you want to do 12.1 at the same time so the conflict's done?
You've changed order of business.
Yeah,
Go back.
but we sometimes can do conflicts at any time, just do a conflict.
Now, when you call the matter, that's what you do before you go into closed.
Well,
But
we-
you've now deferred 12.1 till later, so you can't.
So why do we have it on the point
We
4
used to
and
always do 'em all
the
at once,
declaration
once.
conflict of interest?
So when we first started, we did it all at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
But that was all at the beginning of the meeting,
Yeah,
not
but-
through the meeting. And then it changed, and we were declaring for the item that we're going to talk about.
But, you know, is there any reason why the council, you may
I think
not
just be
want to?
confusing for the
Look,
public.
I think just through the chair, it would have been simpler if you had a quorum, but you don't have a quorum, which is why you actually moved the procedural motion. You're
Because
not
we're
talking
both
about the
gonna
item
declare
at
on
all.
it, you won't
You're
have a
just
quorum.
moving it to another
We're
part
on
of the
12.2.
agenda.
Righto, so I'm going.
It's just the quorum
Righto.
aspect.
But I won't.
Okay, yeah, so I've, 12.2, request for tender 23040, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Road Works Package 2. We have a mover.
I move that Council 1 select Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited Trading as DMAC Roma as the preferred tenderer for tenderer 23039, restoration of public assets, Bungil North Roadworks Package 2, for a contract sum of $3,404,270.73, exclusive of GST, which includes $1,770,767,000.84 of contract works and $1,633,502.89 of provisional items. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited Trading as DMAC Roma and form a contract to carry out the works if final terms are acceptable.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
The officer would like to.
Yes. Through you, Mr Chair, I've just noticed a topographic error there just with the contract number reference, so my apologies for that. It's tender 23040, just for the mover.
Oh, is
to
it?
consider.
Sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
two,
yeah.
23040 is the tender.
Righto, do we have a seconder for this motion?
Yeah, right.
Councillor Hancock. And anyone wish to speak to the motion? Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 5-0. If you, yes, that would be
On the
good.
way back?
Okay, 14.1, other change application for development approval on 2013/18600 for a material change of use, high impact industry and ERA 56 regulated waste storage. I've declared a conflict on this one in the past, so I will be leaving the room and ask the Deputy Mayor to take over.
He's not
he's
online.
gone
Yeah,
to
actually,
appointment.
I'll just, I'll text him anyway. Thank you, councillor Whitmore.
So the mayor's left the room, councillor Edwards has left the meeting both with conflicts of interest, so I'll call item 14.1, other change applications for development approval 2013-18600 for a material change of use, high impact industry and ERA 56 regulated waste storage. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor O'Neill?
I'm happy to move. I'll move the council give a decision notice to the applicant refusing the proposed other change to the existing development approval 2013/18600 for the following reasons. 1, the proposed change conflicts with the overall outcomes E and K of the Rural Zone Code as A, there is insufficient information to demonstrate the change will not adversely impact the amenity of the area, and B, there is insufficient information to demonstrate that adverse impacts can be managed. 2, the proposed change conflicts with the performance outcome 24 of the Rural Zone Code as A, there is insufficient information to demonstrate that air emissions from the change will not cause nuisance to adjoining properties. And 3, the proposed change conflicts with performance outcome 4 of the Biodiversity Areas Overlay Code as the proposal is located on a mapped watercourse.
Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Burkett, is there any opposition to the motion? Anyone wish to speak to the motion? Okay. I'll call the vote. All those in favour? 5-0. Done and dusted.
Is the next one this? Oh no, it's a different one.
That's only one.
Is it Nate?
I believe.
Yep.
Did we have to give a statement already?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you actually have it quite well in the resolution because you
Okay, that's right.
articulated that.
Touch the mustard.
to get through things quickly. 578.
I'm pleased George is away today anyway.
Spread out.
578.
I know. Must ask Councillor Burkett whether he has enough room, because he has his room, Councillor Edwards' room, Councillor Taylor's room.
Can I say he's to here?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
just gonna
there.
check with him.
Surprised he hasn't moved the chair.
Was he driven off it?
No, he didn't have his go. I thought he went that way, but he's just, he's just coming.
Deputy Mayor, can I, unless that's him? Is
Yeah.
it-
Councillor Burkett, I'm just checking if you have enough room today, because you've got yours, Councillor Edwards and Councillor Taylor's room.
Oh, so I should.
Are
That's
you-
not mine.
I'm just checking.
It's there.
Mine. That must be
That's not mine.
Wendy's.
Yeah, Wendy, keep your stuff together there. I've given you a little bit there, so
You were so kind.
you're right in the middle.
You're now on the next,
14.2.
the next
578.
folder, page 578.
I bet you've never left the meeting and come back with 500 pages gone.
538.
78.
578. Thank you.
619.
Uh, 14.2, other change application for development approval 2018/19823 for a material change of use, low impact industry and medium impact industry petroleum recovery plant and ERA 8-3. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that the change application to the existing development approval for a material change of use for a low-impact industry, expansion of an existing industrial activity, medium-impact industry, petroleum recovery plant, and ERA 8-3 chemical storage, located on Warrego Highway, Bungil, described as Lot 69 on SP 206879, be approved subject to the listed conditions and general advice.
Okay, we have a seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Can I go to the vote? All those in favour? 6-0. Okay, moving on.
Okay. It is 14.4, page 624. I'll just double check that. No, it isn't.
619.
It's 619, through the chair.
14.3, requests for waiver of application fees, file reference 203/20777. I'd like to move that council grant a waiver of the application fees totalling $622.40 for the charge to planning and building approval for a domestic outbuilding at 20 Robusta Drive, Roma, reference number 2023/20777.
Mr Mayor, could you check I'm not sure, I didn't hear, I don't think you got the dollar value right.
Oh, right, sorry, $692.40, sorry.
Mr
we-
Mayor, it was also a change, not a charge.
Right, okay. I'll just read that again. That council refused to, the council approved to grant a waiver of the application fees totaling $692.40 for a change to the planning and building approval for a domestic outbuilding at 20 Robusta Drive, Roma, reference 2023/20777. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition?
Can I just ask a question, just
Please
to
go
clarify?
ahead.
So in the letter, an email was sent to the council on the 6th of April. Does it actually indicate when the initial application went in? I can't see when it was, Was it back in February?
Yeah, through the chair, I do
February,
recall
March,
it actually
April.
being some time.
Yeah. Can I just ask, and maybe somebody can answer, maybe they can't, when was the mistake picked up? Was it actually, or how was the mistake picked up?
Have we got anyone here from planning?
Just through the chair.
If it was, it's got here on that letter, sent on the 2nd of the 5th, 2023. Oh, that's to us. Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
When it
yeah.
was actually,
How much earlier than the 6th of April is what you're asking, isn't
and
it?
really the question I'm asking is, how was the mistake determined? Because we are told it was partially completed, and then they must have realised that it was not in alignment to the actual plans.
That was only because of a typo.
Yeah, but I'm just, so how was it determined?
Yep, so
What do
the,
you mean, how,
look,
Well, the
through the
plans-
chair, I think what you've got is that you've got a change in the middle of the assessment process, which normally is another cost to council, and hence the officers have recommended that that fee be charged. Essentially, it's up to council as to whether you want to, the motion on the table at the moment is contrary to that. It's just that you have waived fees in the past for changes to applications, but there's been time elapsed. This appears to be during the process. There's been significant change, which is
Today, on the 5th of April 2023, the applicant submitted an amended plans to council showing the shed being located at 150 millimetres for the side. And then if you look at this, I sent an email to council on the 6th of April with the amended site plan. Are those dates wrong?
Well, I'm thinking that it was submitted back at the beginning in January, February, and then approved. So the council officers had actually gone through, given out the formal approval, construction started, and then for some reason,
there was a typo on the plans.
it was
Yep.
picked up, there was a mistake, so then a second lot of plans have gone in on the 5th of
And so
April
they had to reassess. So,
to be reassessed, and then,
and through the chair, the resident is asking, is starting, they've already paid their development assessment fees. It's just that the council has come back to them and said, there's a further fee because of the changes.
can I just clarify, is that the
Yes.
builder, or is that the applicant? Is that the actual person for whom the shed is being built?
My understanding is the person for the shed's being built, yes, MRB Contracting, Mark Beats is the applicant on page 619.
Councillor McMullen?
my take on this, the way I'm reading it is, the plans went in, they started on the job, then discovered that the building was closer to the fence, and the plan said 650 millimetres. He built it at 150 millimetres, so he had to put a second plan in to say it was going, and so instead of just amending the original one, he was asked to pay for a second application. That's-
Essentially a second
so,
assessment
yeah.
process, yeah.
And I have heard of that happening before.
Yes.
Not correct, I
And
don't
council
believe.
has also waived them before.
Yeah.
But there's just been a greater period of time between the time the original application went in and the changes.
Yeah, and it's 20th of February 2023 when it was submitted in the first instance. And then the change was on the 5th of April.
And I imagine they would have built it at 150 and then...
That's
when
exactly
they-
what I would take, and then they've come to inspect and said you're too close to the fence,
And that's when you
compared with your plans.
And that's when you
Hence
realise
the typo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I note there that they've paid $1,000
Yeah.
already. Okay, so I'll speak to this. I think this is common sense, and I thank the applicant for actually raising it and asking rather than perhaps just being unhappy about it, because I think we're pro being able to get people to build more houses and do things in the Maranoa. So I thank council for the opportunity to side with the resident and give the concession. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Then we will go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0. Okay.
Page 624.
624. 14.4, Roma Sale Yards Annual Store Sale Fundraiser. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I'll move that Council 1 adopt policy Roma Sale Yards Annual Store Sale Fundraiser Revised Policy Version 2, repeal any previous versions of the Roma Sale Yards Annual Store Sale Fundraiser Revised Policy, removing any versions from the website and policy register. 3, update the website and policy register with the revised policy. 4, advise appropriate stakeholders of the new policy in writing.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? I'll speak in opposition. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Chair. Council has spent quite a bit of time discussing and coming up with an appropriate policy going forward. I do think it is the right governance standards to have a policy in place when it comes to this particular initiative. Our sale yards are, a premier asset for our community and one that holds quite dear to many in our region, particularly a lot of the old councillors that have been stewards of this asset for a long time, that are no longer in this chamber. Equally, former members of the Roma Sale Yards board have put countless hours into managing the sale yards. And so I think it is beholden on us to have a policy in place that puts conditions around how we make a decision whether we're in a financial position with the Roma Sale Yards to support these initiatives. I hope we are. And this policy will guide not only council and how we approach that, but the stakeholders that too see value in supporting the Roma Sale Yards with their own fundraising initiatives. So I urge councillors to support this policy today.
I'll speak against the policy. I believe that why we've got another policy coming is because we had the first policy. I do believe that it should be on a case-by-case basis, and we should only be doing it if it's financially fiscal to do it. And I believe that the first policy was doing multiples when that wasn't even requested. So I do believe that that it should be based on council decision on whether to hold a fundraiser. And as it was brought up this morning about concerns about financial viability, whilst this is not being covered necessarily by the sale yards, I think it should be on a case-by-case basis, and I don't support the need for a policy. Okay, would someone wish to speak for the motion?
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just with the update policy, I actually thought we had it in here somewhere where the request still has to come to council,
Yeah, it is.
and we still have to
It's there, 3.6.
3.6,
Just down
and
the page.
we can make the decision
Yeah,
on
that's right.
the financial impact to the. So just in relation to what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, that is in the policy. That's actually embedded in this policy. That's not just a given. It's actually the fact that it has to come to council, and council can look at its financial implications to that business unit before it makes a decision. So it's not just a given just because it's in the policy. Yep, correct. Thank you.
But it does have 3 in there, I believe, in the policy.
No, we reduced that
that's
as
not
well.
right.
Have you read the policy? The updated policy?
Yeah, I wasn't there on that day, but when the briefing happened,
But it's in the policy in our papers.
well, okay, different amount of money perhaps might be.
Maximum 2 store sales per financial year and 1 beneficiary per event.
Yeah. Okay, councillor Guthrie.
I'm actually I seconded this and I'm going to vote in favour of it because I think there's a couple of pertinent aspects for me. One is that we did actually have this a Roma Sale Yards policy that was drawn up, and I think it was done with the right intention, with the hope of being able to be equitable and make a fundraising opportunity available. And I think as time has gone on, we've started to look a little bit more closely, and maybe some of the practical details we just went not quite right. So I think this is just another stage in trying to get this as fair and as financially sustainable, and putting it out publicly so that those who are the aeronautical medical services can look at this and go, well, this is a great council initiative and we'd like to be able to access this. So I think this is actually now getting it really fine-tuned to a stage where it will work well.
Okay, would anyone else wish to speak against or for the motion? Councillor Hancock.
I am going to support the motion because I think that the policy assists our staff when the requests come, so it gives some sort of a direction to them. I think that now the policy, we are getting it right. It has been a bit of trial and error. I think the funds are coming out of the right business unit and it's being associated with that business unit, and the requests are based on whether that business unit is running at a profit or not, and also what money, if it is running at a profit, it might be earmarked for upgrades to that business unit. I think the fact that it comes back to council, the council does have the final decision, it's coming out of the right business unit, and the fact that we can actually look at the financial implications to the business unit all ticks a box for me, and that's why I'll be supporting this policy.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the mover wish to sum up?
Thank you. Council spent, I think it was the best part of an hour and a half discussing this in a workshop, and I think it shows when we do come together, and particularly on policy issues, and they come through a briefing or workshop session of council, we can really nut out what we want to embed in a policy of council. So I thank the council, I thank the staff for pulling this together. It is very clear that it will be on the basis that the business unit that is the Roma sale yards, it will be based on its financial position as to whether we can support these initiatives. And that is something that came out very strongly in our discussions and has been embedded in the policy. And it's the argument that the Mayor used before in speaking against it, and yet it is embedded in the policy that it will come back via this table to ensure that we're putting the lens over it, the appropriate financial lens that we can afford to support these fundraisers. I hope we can. But this will put the parameters around in guiding the council. It puts the parameters around in how we can support these initiatives that have come up from the aeronautical medical organisations that are in town. And I think this is very clear now, and I urge councillors to vote in favour of the resolution.
Okay, we're going to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 5-1 if I can call for a division. Okay.
You voted for
you
it
voted
then.
for it. You put your hand up for it.
I put my hand up after I'd called the vote. So let's do it again. All those in favour? All those against? 5-1. Okay, and if I can call for a division. 14.5, McGrath Park, Roma. I would like to move that council install 8 to 10 I-25 pop-up sprinklers, including automatic control box, for the value of $10,000, and include maintenance, mowing maintenance on the area, included in the standard operational plan. What wording would you have for that?
Right, just through the chair, just in relation to what you're putting up there, you're suggesting an amount of money. I'm noting it's McGrath Park, so that would come out of town and surrounds maintenance. Is that what you're talking about there?
Correct.
So is the balance of it about reinstating a service level because it was decommissioned 7 years ago?
And I believe it's still mowed occasionally, but when the grass starts coming, then it's just mowed as part of, it's a very small area, it's probably 100 metres square or something, and it would just be, kept up.
So, are you happy with installer? Okay, first part of that is one, installer 8 to 10 I-25 pop-up sprinklers, including automatic control box of the value of 10,000. Two, reinstate a relevant service level
Yep.
for the park as part of ongoing maintenance.
Yep. And then three, liaise with service clubs if they have an interest in partnering with council to upgrade the park. Okay. Do we have a seconder?
May I just ask, what's 8 to 10, what's that?
8 to 10, I-25.
Oh,
are a-
I-25, okay.
Yeah, they're a large
No, that's,
area
I thought it
sprinkler.
said 125, but
Yeah, no, I-25. though.
I'm happy to second it, Mr Mayor.
Okay, we've got a seconder, councillor
Mr. Mayor, can I just
McMullen.
ask a question, please?
Yeah, please go
So
ahead.
reading that there, the total cost to reinstating McGrath Park is $10,000?
Yeah,
Not the what's been listed,
No, just put the
Plus
sprinklers in.
just the sprinklers?
Put the sprinklers, grass will grow, the cooch will come. And the other thing we've put in there is that it will be included in our normal maintenance of mowing for that area, for the, McGrath Park.
Mr Mayor, if I could just give
Yep.
just some background, just in relation to the estimate, so just particularly around the sprinkler. So that estimate in the report, the reason why it's at that number is just in relation to not knowing what the flow rate might be for and then how much area you get for a sprinkler. So we've worked on some. The team leader for Parks and Gardens has a general square metre rate for that type of install, and so that's where he's come to, and then allocating, not knowing where all the infrastructure is right at this minute about power supply for the box, for the auto controller. So that's where, in round terms, why we got to that number. With respect to the motion today around the installing of 8 to 10 up to 10,000. In addition to that, on that, I'm not sure about your page numbers, but that aerial photo there with that yellow, that wasn't necessarily the location where we would put them, but it's just to give you an indicative understanding about what you would get for 8 sprinklers at 15 square metres per sprinkler. That's what we've worked on. So if the motion that's up there at the moment proceeds, we will install 8 to 10 at up to $10,000 worth of works. What I couldn't say to you is that I'd be able to irrigate that entire location. You'll get an
one.
area of
Yeah, it's only, yep.
15 square metres or whatever per sprinkler for an area, and it wouldn't cover that entire.
No,
location.
It's a big park, so
Yes.
this is just one area.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you would need in there that we could liaise with the residents that have raised it on which is the most important area.
I agree. If the motion gets up today about that, I agree. We should talk to them about
Yeah.
which 200 square metres or whatever it would be of area would you like to see? Is it on that street or Jackson Street?
Yeah,
I'm more than happy to do that.
righto, so you don't need that in the
It was just to give you context. I just want to be clear that
Yeah, it won't
the
make
expectation is that I won't, on that basis, we're not irrigating the whole
No.
location.
But I'm confident that, with local contractors, we could deliver that for that amount of money. So, okay, please go ahead.
In the report, it says a community group has expressed interest in having responsibility. Which community group?
Roma Filipino group, they contacted me just about how they would, could be connected to a park. They didn't say necessarily this one. This was before this discussion.
I think there's also another interested party as well, service
Yeah.
group.
And who is that, Councillor Beckett?
Well, I don't know if I'm at liberty to say,
Oh,
but I'm only
I
getting
got
second
told
here.
this morning, I haven't checked it, but it might be Apex, it might be a project for them. The
In
president,
addition to their park they've already got.
So why, when we
talk to them all about it before we go off and do half a job.
No, well, I think this is very important for the kids, and then we're going to liaise because there's a football post that need to go in if the kids are going to kick a footy. There's plenty to be done, so this is just doing the first part. Okay, I'll speak to the motion. I believe if you speak to your local contractors, your plumbers, they can deliver that. It's very cost effective. I believe that there is enough water up there, and being positive, and maybe one of the service clubs, and it could be a service club or a community group that may want to put this park under their wing. I don't agree that it's okay to go across a busy street of Bowen Street to find another park. I do think that it's nice to have something that kids can walk to and relatively safe. So I will be supporting this motion and look forward to improving the recreation of the children that live up there. Okay, does someone wish to speak against the motion?
Question.
Please go ahead.
Just in relation to the points as to why we decommissioned the park 7 years ago, what plans do Water, Sewage and Gas currently have in installing the above ground water reservoir?
My understanding is that it's no longer required. The plans aren't
It's
to
off the
proceed.
table?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Hancock.
Yeah, I'm not going to support this today, not because I don't support the project. I'm not supporting this today because I think we're doing a half job. I think if you're going to do a job, let's do it right. And a good example of that is we're buying pop-up sprinklers for $10,000 to put in, but according to the report, it's a $2,000 cost for a water connection. So we don't have the water to get to the sprinklers, but we're putting the sprinklers in. I just feel we're doing half a job here. I would love to be able to speak to some of the service groups to see what they would like to do with this park and what areas and how they would like to see it developed. Whereas I think that if we just go in and do this, it's just half a job. And so I just think it's a waste of money, and we're putting the horse before the cart. That's the reason I can't support this today. I'd like to see the whole plan and actually do the job correct.
Mr Mayor, why don't we just swap 3 with 1? Or 3, just swap them around. So do that. If they've got an idea, so I agree that we need to get it going, but if they've got say they'd like a shelter there, then they can work out where the sprinklers are going around that. So still get what you need, but then, because as far as watering the rest of this, you're doing them in stages water-wise anyway. Like, you're not going to, it's all going to be in sections anyway, but the key thing is where you're going to put like a shelter or a park. So you don't want to be ripping the sprinklers up after, unless your design is grass at the front and then in the middle, the next stage is where you do the infrastructure and then more grassland. That'd work, but I still think we can achieve both by just swapping the order around.
Councillor Guthrie.
Can I just add on to what Councillor Burkett's saying? I too would like to support it, and I'm thinking that if number 3 became number 1, and add a little bit more that says, with your consideration, liaise with service clubs to basically determine or to consult with them about their intentions or possible, whatever happens to it, and then include the partnering with council to upgrade the park. Then you're going into the giving an amount of money for pop-up sprinklers should they be needed, and then number 3 can be reinstated relevant. So you've basically gone the other way. You're going to the service clubs to get input for what they would like to do, or what as a joint compromise would like to be achieved up there, with their input into and partnering with council, and then the intention of having $10,000 for pop-up sprinklers should, when they determine where, and then reinstate the service level. So I think we're on the right track. I just think it needs a bit of tweaking.
And I think also we've got time on our side as far as growing grass. So if we get this done in the next couple of months before the
rain,
because it's no good. Like the sprinklers, to be honest, now is, I can't say the term I'd like to use, like throwing stuff out a window of a car sort of thing, but because it's not going to grow until September, something like that. So if we get all this done now, we can get full advantage of the sprinkler system moving from September onwards. That makes sense?
So, is the seconder happy if we change that?
I am happy, Mr Mayor, yeah.
Right, so I'm happy with that. The one thing I would add is, in point 3, including, with the money allocated, also including, water connection.
But you'd want that back though, wouldn't you? Like, it's all well and good that liaise with the service clubs, but
come back to council.
it's got to come back to council to trigger the next steps, because they may say no.
But
Can I just add to that though? My comment was to make sure that they know that we've put a $10,000 contribution towards watering. So we're not just talking hypothetically, we're saying, look, this is the colour of our money, that we've actually gone through a resolution. There is $10,000 for 10, what do we have?
Sprinklers,
8
8
to
to
10,
You'd leave that in there.
and leave it all in
No,
there.
no, but just in one, you'd have that, and that comes back to council. They know that there's a commitment of $10,000, but
But I don't think that's
I don't
not the
think-
intention of
no.
my motion. It's getting on with it. But if the
you just
point,
want to do it regardless, is that?
and the point to councillor Burkett's was or it was councillor Guthrie, if they want to say, can we put it over here and we're going to do a shelter and all of that. But I've talked to community groups and they go, oh, we don't want to do it all ourselves. Is council going to help? And this is saying we're definitely going to get in and help, but do you want a partner? So I don't mind turning it round and doing the liaising first, but it's actually about getting on with it. The children haven't had a park for 7 years. It's about getting on with it. Councillor Burkett?
Just with the water connection, it'd be interesting to know where the water main runs. If it's on the footpath right outside on the boundary, that 2,000 should be lower. If it's on, so there might be more savings. Yeah,
We're going to do it anyway.
across the road and all that, fair enough.
But there is a bore there, like, as you know, that is pretty new, so, you know.
If your intention is different towards, the first prong is theoretically the first action.
Yeah.
If you want the first action to be install a water connection, it's probably reinstating your order from before.
No, I'm happy to have that, but just
Okay.
liaise
Yep,
with the
righto.
service clubs, find out what they might say, well, we'd want to do a bit bigger area or whatever.
Yep.
Councillor McMullen?
Mr Mayor, I'm happy with that, but I've heard, I've just been going through, where did the shelter come up from? I can't.
No, I just said that
Oh.
it's no good putting the sprinkler system in and someone comes along and goes, oh, that'd be an ideal for a slab of the shelter.
Yeah,
Because
I
then it's-
couldn't, okay.
We've
All
gone
good.
down that road on other parks where pipes have been cut all over the show.
Councillor Hancock?
So just with that now, we're going to install the water connection and the 8 sprinklers for $10,000. So therefore, that actually may not be 8 sprinklers, it might be 6 sprinklers because it
Yeah,
might not
could
be for
be.
No,
$10,000.
it's actually install the water connection, stop, and then, how do we do that, CEO, where it's the water connection is internal?
Look, at the end of the day, I think that if you've got install a water connection and 8 pop-up sprinklers, the reality is it gives council officers enough room to move to say, look, that's what we're trying to achieve. Let's see if we can achieve it all for $10,000. If we haven't got enough money, then obviously we would let you know. But again, as someone's pointed out, the water connection may not cost anywhere near $2,000. It might be, $500 or something like that, or $700. You can still achieve everything there. If you want to split it, you can split it, but I think the motion as it stands is explicit. It doesn't give us enough direction to work with both.
So if we don't want the water connection coming out of the 10 grand, if it is a large amount of
Okay,
money,
you'd split
do
it
we-
then split it.
Right.
And have, 2 different
righto, so we'll just
elements.
shift
But
that.
are you installing a water connection on behalf of council at no cost? Or?
Yeah, correct.
I have another question.
Please go ahead.
My next question is, how can we take this out of Roma Town and Surrounds maintenance when this isn't maintenance, this is a capital project?
You actually have the opportunity to consider it. It's at a threshold that we can look at that as maintenance.
But it's not maintenance, it's a brand new project.
It's a decommissioned park, though.
Yeah, we still have an accounting treatment of that.
Okay, is the seconder happy
Just
with?
double check anyway that I've got. I've got the work order number, so I'll just double check that that's the definition anyhow.
Councillor McMullen, are you happy with that
Mayor,
change? Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm going to speak. Unfortunately, I'm not going to support this today on a couple of points. The first is that if the intent is to have a community group to take some stewardship of it, that hasn't been there's been little to no approach on this particular park to understand whether there is appetite for a community group to take this on. We have some fantastic parks in Roma that are very well used by our youth, but when you look at them, there are upgrades that need to happen. I was at a meeting just this week with the Lions Club talking about their vision for their park, and over the years, council has partnered with them and partnered successfully with the service group. They're in desperate need of getting the irrigation sorted up at that particular park, and I think we should be fixing what we've already got, assets that are on the book that are commissioned parks in our region before we take on another project and not do it fully. I'm not against looking at this more broadly and for a longer term, but just whacking in some sprinklers and hoping that's going to fix the problem, I don't think is going to address it. And on that basis, I won't be supporting the recommendation.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Righto, we're going to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? 4-2 if I call for a division. I'd like to move that council look at an amount of money for the 23-24 budget for maintenance upgrade for Lions Park sprinkler system.
Do you want to put funding in that as well?
Yes, to the value of...
No, I mean, sorry.
With respect, Mayor, just so for context, the meeting with Lions, our director for Roma was in attendance, and I understand that there are steps being undertaken to come back to Lions with the requests that they've had. So things are being actioned as of the meeting 2 days ago.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be able to move that we do that and that we receive, so have we got any wording up there? Council look at an amount of money for the 23-24 to look at upgrading an upgrade for Lions Park sprinklers. Okay, do we have a seconder for
Mr. Mayor,
that?
what I meant about funding, would you put in a look at amount of funding or potential funding opportunities? That's what I was meant by funding.
Oh, well, it does need some maintenance. I've been asking for years for it.
Mayor, I'll second it after I ask a question of the director.
Please go ahead.
Director Dean, post that meeting the other day, what they were asking, can that be addressed through maintenance already, or is there going to be an injection of major capital?
I think with respect, the conversation that we had or at that meeting, so I'm mindful about that in this forum, but the conversation was along the lines about, for a better word, replacing the existing chain fence and improving that to something more suitable that would make, to allow for children who are playing at the park not to cross onto those roads, and not necessarily the full facility, the full park, but certainly up on those two corners where the playground is. The other part of the conversation was around in relation to some further 0 to 5 playground area and the footprint that looks like, and from the contours and the where that is in relation to the existing infrastructure and sprinklers and grassing. That's a component that we need to consider. And then the third thing was in relation to the irrigation component. Again, mindful about in this current forum, but there was certainly the approach would have been in some form of partnership. So it wasn't a request to council to fix all of those things. It was that Lions would like to make further investments at that property, and they were then going to work up, getting some quotes in relation to all of that work, and then that would give me an opportunity to consider how that would look about what their request is and versus with the council. And then coming to your point is that it's difficult to answer the question. Sorry, there is irrigation there and it needs some repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
So depending on the state of that, the current state of that irrigation, it could be
Maintenance or
maintenance.
Yeah.
It may require that in consideration of the 0 to 5 playground, that we may look at having to do a full replacement of all the irrigation at that park as well.
Yeah.
So it's a work in progress. And
for broader context, and thank you for touching on the first 2 points, for completeness, the Lions Club will be writing to council in relation to those two aspects fairly soon, but it has been on their radar for a couple of years just in terms of the irrigation, and some pop up, some don't, some spread where they want it, some doesn't. So my question is more, is that an allocation of maintenance? And if it's not, and it's a bigger project, then it is a capital investment that you're talking about. So I'm happy to second it.
You happy to second it? Okay. Any opposition?
Amount of money.
Well, I think
we're
that
going
needs
to
be
investigate.
investigated.
Okay. Does anyone else?
Well, Mayor, would you change that? The council investigate the funds required for the upgrade of the Lions Park sprinklers to be considered in the 2023-24 financial year.
Yep, happy with that. Councillor
Mr.
Guthrie?
Mayor, I think we've just been talking about doing it in the right way. I think it should be that council, arrange with Lions Club to actually have them come and provide a briefing or come and have something to share with us, because at the moment I'm going to be voting on something without actually knowing what they want, and I'm not, Director Dean, I'm not being rude that I'm getting second-hand information. I'm going to be committing money on a second-hand information about what, I think it would be good to have them meet with us, and then maybe then have investigate the funds required, but the first step should be to meet with them and get them to tell us
Well,
face to face.
just for your information, Councillor Guthrie, it's been an ongoing problem that the pop-ups in the park have not been working properly.
Okay.
And this is not committing to spending any money, it's actually to investigating it, so you're not making any commitment today.
Okay.
But the Lions are saying they're not, not getting any younger, and that they need some maintenance with that and it to be done. So I think this is very beneficial. It's up to you if you support it.
And I will say, Mr. Mayor, just to follow on, I don't have a problem with supporting and if the sprinklers need to be upgraded. I'm just thinking about priorities. I mean, is that their first priority? And maybe, Director Dean, you can't answer that. If we were to ask them, is that priority number 1, and then the year 1 to 5, play equipment number 2, and the fence number 3? I'm just trying to get a sense of...
It's coming.
If we
Councillor Guthrie, the action from Representative Lyons was that they will be writing to the entire council, and there will be a couple of requests in that. So I expect that will be fairly quick coming across our desk.
Councillor McMullen?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I probably have partly answered now, but my take on it, what we've heard from Councillor O'Neill and Director Dean, sounded like to me that the irrigation was going to be at 0.3, because if they're going to put playground in, don't know exactly where, you'd then be, you said, probably be looking at the whole new thing then, because if the playground's over there, it mightn't have irrigation now, but it will be required. So, I mean, yeah.
The combination of both,
Yeah,
Deputy Mayor. The new playground idea is close to where the current playground is. The irrigation is across the entire oval and their gardens. And so, but as I said, correspondence from them with this in more detail is forthcoming.
But just for Councillor Guthrie's benefit, it's a very busy park. There's areas that don't have any grass growing. The pop-ups have been a problem, plus the soil type. And this would really identify sort of what's there already, but not working. So, and so this is
So
just to
there's no dollar value
investigate.
going to here,
No.
this is just investigating. Okay.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Mr Mayor, yes, I will. I am going to support this now because we changed it to that we're investigating the funds for the upgrade of the sprinklers, which means that all we need to do is get a price on that. So if the Lions Club come back and their priorities change, it doesn't mean that we actually need to do the sprinklers straight away, but at least we've already went out and got a costing on the sprinklers. So we're not actually committing to anything, we're just investigating, and that's why I'll support this now, because before I had some reservations about once again going off half-cocked and doing it. So, no, that's good, thank you.
Just to clarify, what I'm moving is the existing sprinklers that are not working in the park. So, yeah, if we go to different stages in the future and they're doing other projects, but this is actually the stuff that's not working. Okay, and sometimes you just need to upgrade it, you know. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak?
Oh, that's not clear there, that's upgrading the existing sprinklers. I would have thought that that's all the sprinklers.
Yeah, that are there now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not
just the
new.
ones that aren't working.
Yeah, but it's not new area that's never had sprinklers, right? So it's sort of like not a new project in one way. Councillor O'Neill?
That's maintenance, not upgrading, is it?
But sometimes you actually have to upgrade, so it like a whole new, like if it just keeps breaking all the time. Councillor O'Neill?
I'm obviously going to support this because I seconded it, but I mean, there was irrigation right across the Lions Park, and some of that changed when the most recent park upgrade happened, which is probably something like 5 or 6 years ago now. And so some of those lines were seven and plugged up, but it just needs a little bit of work. I mean, I'll support this. It is a bit reactionary, I feel, Mayor, based on the comments that I made in the previous debate. It was a very productive meeting with Lions representatives. They invited myself and Dean along to sit down with them. And, you know, we've got to give credit where credit's due. They are a service organisation that are very good stewards of their particular park in our town. I think they do a wonderful job in their fundraising efforts and investing that into what, you know, for all intents and purposes, is a community asset. It is owned by the community, but they are the stewards, and we should support them in their endeavours to continue to upgrade their park. I recall when they came to us all those years ago with their vision for their All Abilities Play Park, they came as partners, real partners. They weren't coming for 100% contribution from the ratepayer. They came to partner with the rate base to invest in, you know, what is a very popular park in Roma. And so on that basis, this is the right time of year to be getting in to deal with the irrigation before we start to warm up again. And I look forward to the correspondence coming from Lions and sharing with the entire council what the next steps are in terms of the things that Dean's touched on already. And Dean, I don't think they're going to be too concerned that it's been shared today, because they're very excited about what they want to do in terms of the fencing and their vision for a 0 to 5 play park. So if this helps to get it a bit greener up there, then I'm happy to second it.
Yeah, I'll speak to this motion. I think that Lions have done a fantastic job in the community, both with all their work in the community, supporting the community, but also the park. It's a beacon in that area of town, and I know that they've been raising this for now, you know, quite some time, and it's disappointing it hasn't been done. But I think this motion can fast track it, get some pricing and get the sprinkler system up to a level that we can consider an amount of money that whether we do or do not put in the budget. So I think this needs to happen. I think the local director already being involved in that operationally. And when they keep raising it year after year and the volunteers have to keep fixing the sprinklers, I think we can do better than that. So I'm glad that Councillor O'Neill raised it. And it just shows you that, you know, part of the operating model is that we would hope in the future we don't have these sorts of issues and they get cleaned up, and then it's just very minor maintenance moving forward. So on that note, I'll support the motion. Does anyone else wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0.
Page 638.
14.6, Surat Golf Club Incorporated, request to erect storage shed. Councillor
Mayor.
Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I move that council, as trustee of the land described as Lot 94 on EG 284, grant approval for the Surat Golf Club Inc. to erect a storage shed 9 metres long, 6 metres wide and 3 metres high on the premises subject to council standard building and planning approvals.
We have a second, Councillor Hancock. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just think it's great that this is moving ahead because it's been a bit of a long process, but they're finally moving to achieve the end goal. And I think after our planning meeting down at Surat, we sort of two people got together and potentially there might be a way to get a toilet block building, shower block building, whatever there. So it's a positive sign for Surat.
Okay, Councillor
Yeah,
McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'd just like to say I support it, and I'm a little bit disappointed. We discussed this some 2 or 3 years ago, and I thought everything was in place, but now it's the actual building has come to fruition. They started on it, and everything wasn't up to scratch. But anyway, we'll get it sorted as quick as we can.
Yeah, does anyone else wish to speak to it? I'll speak to it. Well, that's a classic example of why we need to operate locally. I believe this has been going on for a number of years, and now that Surat and the Waroo area's got their local director solving issues, coming up with solutions, bringing it to council if it can't be solved at an operational level, I believe it's actually going to happen. So, you know, this is what we need to turn this project from talking about it to get it done, and it's great to have a local golf club in the area. So I'd like to thank all the volunteers that have been involved with that, and it's I believe it'll finally get moving. So hopefully we get to see that happening. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0. Thank you,
Thanks,
Director
Council.
Matt. Okay, 14.7, trade waste applications.
Mayor, I have a conflict of interest
Please go ahead.
this morning.
It's not in the report, it's been listed.
It's been attached now.
Yeah.
We received an email that's got the businesses listed, so I'd like to declare a conflict of interest if I can. I've got the...
Jeez Louise.
Just to manage your Danielle, does retail businesses have trade waste?
Mr. Mayor, a lot of them probably wouldn't, like your general retail shops. It's more like.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I have to give my conflict before the matter goes any further.
And
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting for you to load it up.
Yeah, but even asking the question, because I'm still here.
Righto. Oh, but I was just, we weren't going on with the matter.
do you want me to get a list printed for you? So that you can see that?
You ready, Councillor O'Neill?
Yes, I am. The subject here is trade waste applications. Declaring councillors, myself, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. The person with the interest in this matter will be Roma Rural Student Hostel. Particulars of the interest are that I am a committee member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel, and they are listed as an existing business that has had the trade waste application fee waived. And Mr Mayor, that's prescribed. I'll have a prescribed conflict of interest because they're one of those businesses, but there are many other businesses that are listed. Would you have appetite to dealing with that one separately?
Yep, certainly would.
So in respect to this, it's line item 50.
Thank you. Can't see anything there. Thank you.
Of the existing businesses trade waste spreadsheet. And given it's a prescribed conflict of interest, I'll leave the room while this particular matter is discussed and voted on.
Mr Mayor, can I just raise something?
Yes, please.
It's not the student hostel though. Council are the owner of the facility, it clearly says. We own the building, we're not doing it for the student hostel.
It's the occupier is the Roma Rural Student Hostel, and it's listed in there, and I'm on the committee of. Therefore, I have a prescribed conflict of interest.
It's no different
They're
for
getting a
our
financial
Chrome facility, right? I think it's similar.
Okay, so you're going to leave the room,
Righto.
and we'll deal with number 50 first.
Before we do that.
Oh, is there any others? I should wait till there's any others.
Any others on 50?
Well, I just want to ask a question.
Please go ahead.
So we're only dealing with the ones on the list at the moment?
They're the only ones before us, eh?
Through you, Mr Mayor, not necessarily. So as part of the audit of the existing businesses that may require trade waste approval, the staff are working off multiple older registers to compile a list of businesses that potentially need a trade waste approval. So this is the current list we have. There could, if council passes this resolution, be other businesses that are identified that also need an approval and would therefore take advantage of the fee waiver if council passed that.
But really, you can only deal with the ones you've got the numbers for, CEO. What do you think?
That's right. Yeah, certainly you can't predict a business that you don't know about yet. But you do have to make a decision on the matter at hand, which attaches this list. But what the officer has said is that there is the potential for people to be added to the list.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Can I please ask for an adjournment of the meeting so that I can consider the information given to us this morning?
Right, I will just adjourn the meeting. With the meeting, Councillor O'Neill.
Okay, 12.
So I can move a procedural motion here.
To put that in.
That given the subsequent report provided electronically in relation to item 14.7 that lists existing businesses, I'll move this item into the closed part of the agenda.
Okay, so 14 for 14.7. Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor McMullen, any opposition? We're going to the vote. All those in favour? Righto.
What was that, 6-0?
Yeah, 6.
6-0, correct. Okay.
Sorry.
So apologies for that.
No, I'm sorry.
It was harder than it should be.
We haven't gone into closed.
No.
No.
Okay.
We're still in.
We just moved that
We're
item
still
into
in
closed.
open.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Not gonna.
Premature there.
Oh, well, sort of giving up on it.
Well, it works perfectly because we're going to go into close next anyway.
Soon.
Well,
Okay, 17.1, the Big Rig Bridge. I'd like to move that a report be prepared for an upcoming council meeting. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to
Can I
speak?
ask a question? And there's no one here to ask it of.
You can ask the
Oh,
CEO.
Through the chair, Edwina, when we upgraded the bridge, was work undertaken then to determine whether it could be one-way or two-way?
Mr. I can answer that.
yeah, through
It
the
was
chair.
clearly upgraded on the, to the thing, that it was to be one-way traffic only. It's not wide enough for two-way traffic.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, And I know that, I mean, I'd like.
Okay, so, right, we'll keep going, and we do have the item on the table before we go into close that we can deal with,
Yes.
which is to do with
1.1.
11.1, is it? Okay, so 11.1, procurement of 4 construction graders. I would like to change the motion that I have put up. And, I trust all council got the information that's been circulated. And I would like to change it to, what have we got up there? So basically, we might be able to give that to Kel.
Yes, I will. I'm just writing it out. If you can just confirm what your numbers you want and.
Righto, okay, so what I'm gonna put forward as the mover is 1 John Deere grader, which is 638,000, plus the servicing, so it's serviced for the 5 years, 5,000 hours, and 3 Cat 1 50 graders at $582,000, including a maintenance pack of 26,480. All of this would be subject to final, negotiations from the CEO. And I'll talk to why that I believe we should try 1 John Deere.
Mr Mayor, is that the John Deere 770?
Yeah, the big one. It's got some technology that's new, and I believe with the local dealer we should be actually trying one. And but yeah, and now we've got the trade-in price of the cats as well in there. But
That was in there, actually, that price was in
yeah, but it's very faint. So but this one would be part of a buyback that would happen.
Through the chair, Mr Mayor, that 582 per machine for the cats is excluding GST.
Right, so do we need it including?
As long as you just put ex GST, you're fine.
It's just ex GST where we've got including GST up there.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Just for clarity in your motion.
I'll move this across to you in a sec, Kel. I've just got to write things down.
Yes, Deputy Mayor?
The trade back for the cats is 34,500. Is that what I'm reading?
No, 345.
Oh, 340, right. You put it clean the glasses. Yeah, that's what I was saying. No, that's right. But that's for that's for what, the 3 of them?
345 in at 5,000 hours.
Yeah.
Each.
Good deal, eh?
Yep.
Oh, that's right, if you trade it back.
So-
Trade back, that's not
So through the
buyback.
chair, what might be easier if you're talking numbers that we, instead of putting a total figure, we actually put 3 times the price plus the 3 times the maintenance plus trade back of X. If you're going to, so that you can clearly see the split up and you're not worrying about whether the figure's right or not.
Yep.
It's directly related to the report. It's a bit easier for the minute taker. No, it wasn't.
And through the chair, that servicing figure that I've given you is just book service.
Yep.
It's not additional things like blades or anything.
No, just
it's just and that price that I've also given council is also location at Roma.
Yep.
They will travel out to wherever our units are,
Yeah.
but that will be an additional
Bit of
cost.
mileage to go out to Mitchell or wherever the grader might be parked.
Absolutely, yeah.
And obviously this, if it gets up, will give the CEO or delegate the chance to negotiate. So if there is slightly different package or something, then you can bring that back and say, this is actually a better one when we dug into it.
Yep.
So this is interesting. What's the estimated servicing costs for? Cheaper, not better, than for the whole of the life.
Yeah.
But then Caterpillar's got the
Test service and cost.
Caterpillar's got the high school primarily due to the lower service and component costs.
This is the better than that one.
I was doing it the wrong way around, was I?
No, well,
Operating cost score?
that's the scoring, so they get a better, must be a better price because they're getting a higher
They're
score.
getting a higher score?
Yeah.
Ah, okay, I'm
It's
looking
not
that way
the,
around.
yeah, that's right. Higher score for their serving as
5
against
rather than
those,
2.8. Yeah.
So they got 9.6 points total, they got 7.6, 7.8 there.
Commas in the.
Shout.
We'll just adjourn for a minute while we're getting this up on the screen. Select Hastings Deering Australia Limited as the recommended supplier of
Three. It should be
three. We'll get rid of the two.
Kel, you just need to, put the words.
3 Caterpillar 150 graders for 3 at $582,000, $1,746,000
Just say equals.
equals $1,746,000. Plus maintenance service contract of 3 of 26,408 equals 79,224, plus trade back of 345,000 each at 5,000 hours, excluding GST, including registration and CPT. Excluding registration and CTP insurance. 2, select RDO equipment as the recommended supplier of 1 John Deere 770 at
We'll just put 770 if we can. What's the?
GP, 770 GP at 638,000 ex GST plus servicing contract for $29,409 plus buyback of 335,000 at 5,000 hours excluding registration and CTP insurance. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Hastings Deering Australia Limited and RDO Equipment and raise purchase orders if the final terms are acceptable. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? This is part of a modernisation program the council is doing. It's fantastic that we're looking at turning the machines over at 5,000 hours. It's actually what the previous councils before amalgamation were doing and getting very high resale values. So I believe these machines will be in demand and we can actually reduce how much money we have to find to stump up all the money in front. So I really think this is a great thing. Reduce our maintenance costs, reduce our needs for parts that are not part of standard maintenance, and really look forward to seeing these machines get in the field and giving our staff better equipment that is more reliable and has less breakdowns, I would hope. Okay, Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I also endorse this. I think one good thing is also we listened to the staff and I know they wanted all CAT, but I think going on what the officer said about the power of the 770, I think we've covered all bases, but I think it's good listening to our staff that are on the ground and yeah, I think it's a wise move trading him at 5,000 to get that buyback.
Okay.
I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Because I wanted to hear what you had to say first, because
Yep.
I thought you might have answered it. Because we actually are going against staff recommendation, which is the they wanted to have 4 Caterpillars. And so I'm just wondering why you are going with 3 Cats and then 1 John Deere.
Well, number one is that there is, we have a local dealer with an actual business here, not just the mobile vans. So I think for us to develop competitive local business. I think that is the reason to do that. We're certainly listening to the staff, and 1 out of the 4 will be John Deere. It does have some new features, and how do we know unless we test one and see how they perform in the field? So this is a way to test it and see how it performs in the field, but still heavily weighting to what actually the staff have asked for. Also, I think a lot of our John Deeres are old machines, and they've been some of the ones with problems because we kept them a long time. So I'm hoping having more modern machines, that'll be really, and I think as we move along with procurement, we'll get a really detailed input, and hopefully there's more testing days for staff in the future, and we can really nail it moving forward, which machines they get for which operators and getting the most out of them. So I think 1 out of 4 is a good compromise, and it's sort of like a new functions of a new model, and it's just testing one and seeing how they're going with the local dealership that is actually supporting them. We do know that the other brand actually has local service people, but not a dealership. Yep. Okay.
Just a question on that, just through,
Yes.
Through the chair. So we've got a local dealership, but we're not buying through our local dealership, are you? So I understand if we've got a local maintenance for both machines, that's oranges and oranges. But when we buy this machine through RDO, will it support our local business at all?
It will be purchased through RDO equipment, which will be out of Brisbane, through their local government liaison, but would be serviced through the local branch.
Mr.
Councillor McMahon.
In answer to what Councillor I think I hear where Councillor Hancock's coming from. They're not franchises, they're all RDO business, they own the lot. It's not like a Ford dealership where we've got a Ford dealer in Toowoomba and one in Rome, and we're buying with RDO's one. I don't know, they don't have any franchise, it's all RDO equipment.
And just through the chair, our understanding is RDO is expanding into Roma on a permanent basis, and so there's the opportunity to support that. But we do actually have RDO, we do already have John Deere graders, and the preference for staff, if they did use a John Deere grader, would be to have the more powerful version. So hence the 770G.
Because we haven't had this version before. We haven't had this machine
No,
before.
it's a new model. Yes.
Yep.
And through the chair, we have 770 GPs, but this new model has what they call a premium circle. So it's a different action for the blades.
Oh, right.
So it's quicker, has more torque power, and it's a new concept for the John Deere graders. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and to the point, Councillor Hancock, with the local dealership, like what I would like to see in the future, and they're on this journey with doing the yellow dealership, is that maybe in the future we can find out, is it just competitive to deal locally in the future? And but as Councillor McMullen said, it is the same business. They just have many branches. So I would hope that we send a message that we want to support the local branch as well, even though this is bought through the local government connections. And it may well be in the future when we do this, it may be the same cost to just deal directly. So, and hopefully that will be a process in motion, but this doesn't hold up ending up purchasing the graders, you know.
Another question, how long do we get the graders? What's the waiting time?
30.
Yeah, we're looking at around about a 6-month period.
Okay, thank you.
With discussions with one of the suppliers, they may be able to move them a little bit quicker, but they've given us the worst case scenario.
Thank you.
Lead time's going down for all plans.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak for this or against? Okay, then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0. Okay, now,
That's all we had in the white, was it?
yeah,
Only had
need to
one.
do conflicts.
There's one that we can't do
Oh,
yet.
we can't do it all. Councillor Edwards is back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr.
Conflicts, we need to do conflicts next, I believe.
Do you think, I just want to ask a question, will Councillor Edwards be back?
Yeah, he had an appointment in the afternoon,
Okay.
so I would expect that later in the afternoon he'll be dialing back. Okay, does anyone have any conflicts?
I do.
So who's up first? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to declare a conflict of interest for item C6. The description is assessment 150-20910, which is a supplementary rate notice. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Julie Guthrie. The person with the interest or the related party is myself, Julie Guthrie, my husband, Ross Guthrie, and my son, Nick Guthrie, who are equal partners in Guthrie Pastoral Group. The particulars of the interest is that Guthrie Pastoral Group submitted a review of rate assessment requesting a concession due to loss of capping on a supplementary rate notice at the ordinary meeting on the 23rd of November 2022. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and the action that I'll take will be to leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. My next conflict will be item C10, which is a ratepayer supplementary notice process. The declaring councillor is Councillor Julie Guthrie. Person with the interest related party is myself, Julie Guthrie, my husband, Ross Guthrie, my son, Nick Guthrie, who are equal partners in Guthrie Pastoral Group. The particulars of interest is that Guthrie Pastoral Group submitted a review of rate assessment requesting a concession due to loss of capping on a supplementary rate notice at the ordinary meeting on the 23rd of November 2022. The type of conflict is a declarable conflict of interest, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Okay. So who's next? Councillor Hancock?
I'd like to declare a conflict on item 14.7, updated to LC.2. Description, trade waste applications. Declaring councillor is Councillor Joanne Hancock. Person with the interest is myself. Particulars of interest is I own a news agency in Srat, and the news agency in Mitchell is listed on the line 23 of the existing business trade waste spreadsheet. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest. Action remain. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have a perception of bias. Therefore, I will choose to remain in the meeting. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the decision.
Okay, so do we have anyone with some wording? Councillor O'Neill?
I'll move that it is in the public interest of Councillor Hancock. Oh, no, I can't.
No, because you've got
No,
a
I can't.
conflict.
I'll move, Mr. Mayor. I'll move, Mr. Mayor, that it is in the public interest that Councillor Hancock participates and votes on agenda item 14.7 because a reasonable person would trust that the decision is made in the public interest.
We have a seconder, Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone?
Sorry, I was just ready to vote.
So we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 4-0. Okay, next conflict, please.
Might be it, isn't it?
No further.
No other conflicts?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, Councillor O'Neill, you didn't have one?
Well, I did before. I've already declared it.
Oh, you have you?
Yeah, it's just the number changed to include
LC2.
LC2.
Right, so we can just change that number then. Okay, righto, then we can go into closed.
Yeah, you do it. You do it, your turn.
My turn.
You opened up.
I know, I just realised I had to read all that. Yeah. Too quick on me draw again. In accordance with the provision of section 254J3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the council resolved to close the meeting to the public to discuss confidential items that its councillors consider is necessary to close the meeting. In accordance with section 254J5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the following table provides the matters to be discussed, an overview of what is to be discussed while the meeting is closed. Agenda item C1, funding opportunity under the Australian Government's Growing Regions Program, round 1. C2, that's all I've got to read, isn't it? Yeah. C2, request for concession on the water charges 15001308. C3 Microsoft Enterprise Agreement Licensing Renewal. C4 SWQROC Annual Subscription 2023-24. Wild Dog Barrier, C5 Wild Dog Barrier Fence Methodology LGAQ Consultation. C6 Assessment 150200910 Supplementary Rate Notice. C7 Financial Year 2024 Fees and Charges Airports. C8 Draft Debt Borrowing Policy 2023-24. C9 Presentation of Draft Budget 2023-24. C10 Ratepayer Supplementary Notice Process. C11 Register of General Costs, Recovery Fees and Commercial Charges. C12 Waste Management Operations Extension of Domestic Waste Collection Contracts. LC1 Recycling Enterprise Precinct Planning. And 14.7 LC2 Trade Waste Applications. Dash.
We have a seconder?
You want me to do it
Councillor
again?
Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0. Righto, we're enclosed.
Oh, let me hair down.
Okay, so Councillor O'Neill, I believe, would be first.
Thanks, Mayor. On C9, description, presentation of draft budget 2023-24, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest. I'm the declaring councillor, Councillor Cameron O'Neill. Person with interest is myself and the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee. The particulars of the interest, I'm a committee member of the, I'll add Cal, myself and the Roma Rural Student, you've got that. I am a committee member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel Committee and have a conflict for a project titled Roma Student Hostel Upgrade Works. It's a prescribed conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on. I also have a conflict of interest on C9, presentation of draft budget 2023-24, declaring councillor is myself, Cameron O'Neill. The person with the interest is myself and the Country University Centre Maranoa. The particulars of the interest are I'm a non-executive director of the Country University Centre Maranoa Board and have a conflict for project titled Work Order 20551 Regional University Centre Maranoa. It's a prescribed conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Okay, Councillor Burkett.
Yeah, item C9, description is presentation of draft budget 2023-24, declaring councillor is Councillor John Burkett, person with interest is myself. Particulars of interest on the president of the Mitchell RSL and Combined Sports Club and the Mitchell RSL Upgrade Kitchen Project is one of the projects proposed. Type of conflict declarable, and I will leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Righto. And have we got Councillor Edwards back? Okay, so
who's that?
We can't do nothing without
1,
him.
2, 3, 4.
Yeah, he's not.
I'll just.
Not on this subject, not on this agenda.
Yeah, just looking for a quorum.
I don't think he's got one. I don't see
Okay, we'll
He
just,
just said he at 3:47, about 15 minutes ago, he
we'll
just
just
lost
adjourn
sound.
for a minute.
Yeah.
So, Mayor, you could just
Are we splitting?
split them out. So the matters for me,
Yeah, we've just adjourned, so I'm just going to see if he's on the phone.
He had lost sound.
Are you out for the whole budget?
I've got no idea.
no, we'd be splitting it.
Like
yeah.
we normally, yeah.
We're in open now. Oh, we're going to go back into closed, yeah.
Are you going to do all the projects except the one that
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise they're out for the whole budget. You can't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So then on that basis, will I move back into committee then? So you got to kick off.
Okay, we'll keep going with the meeting.
I'll move that we go into closed.
Seconder, Councillor Burkett. All those in favour? 6-0. Righto.
back to that one first.
C1 is easiest for Kel.
Which one?
C1.
C1, okay.
C1, funding opportunities under the Australian Government's Growing Regions Program, Round 1. Councillor O'Neill.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that 1, council receive and note the report, and 2, submit the Roma Denise Spencer Pool redevelopment into the Australian Government's Growing Regions Program Round 1.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Any opposition? I'll speak in opposition. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. This is a great opportunity for us to submit what is a major project for our region that has been on the books for some time. It is going to be a considerable project in terms of a dollar value, and I think if we can embed a expression of interest into this round of the Australian Government's Growing Regions Program, it is our best chance to get the Commonwealth supporting the investment into this asset. It is 50 years old now. This will be a 50-year investment for our community, and we need the support of the Commonwealth Government to be able to do that, or government in general, but in this case the Commonwealth Government. It is being spoken about, the redevelopment, for the best part of the last decade. We are now undertaking significant work through our Deputy Director and his team in consulting with the community, and we're very soon to go out for broad consultation on the draft plans. I think that this is a great project if we can get it supported by the Commonwealth Government, and I urge councillors to support the recommendation today to submit it as an expression of interest.
I'll speak against the motion. Won't be supporting this motion. I do have the belief that I do believe we need to do the new hub building in Mitchell. I think, that would be a priority that I believe should be in there with this project. But I respect that there's different views around the room. But I think I'll just leave it at that. Okay, does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Hancock.
I'll be supporting this motion simply because the Roma Pool project is a huge investment for council, and the opportunity to access this amount of funds that is in this funding round doesn't come up every day. And so I think we should be grabbing it with both hands and putting in an application and trying to get the funding for such a huge investment to the area. I agree that the Mitchell Hub is a worthy project as well, but the funds to deliver that project for the community is somewhat less needed, and I think that there will be other opportunities for council to be able to fund that project, whereas this amount of funding doesn't come up very often, so I think we should be matching this funding with our major upgrade of the pool project.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against the motion or for the motion? Well, Councillor Guthrie's first.
I just think it's really worthwhile mentioning that this is just not a one-off funding source, that there's a number of years, and I would really believe that we put in a project this year, and I would suggest in the next round we put in another project and hopefully be considered, so we're not just limiting ourselves to one successful program. I'd like to think we could cross our fingers and maybe get the two over a period of time.
Okay, does someone else wish to speak?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I was on the fence with this. I'm torn on the project from my hometown, but I think it just makes sense to go for the pool. The timing's right, whether, we talk about the Olympics or the thing that scares me, if we put in two, we've been lucky to jag there once before, but the bigger project might get missed out, so we wouldn't get the bang for the buck. I think this is a big ticket item and it's the only way to get this funding, I think, if we can score it now. But like Councillor Guthrie said, there's going to be times next year, and like Councillor Hancock also said, other funding bodies to go for the Mitchell one. But I think, to be honest, and I'll probably get a kick in the backside for this, the pool probably should take priority at this point in time.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, does the mover wish to sum up?
Thanks very much. And I agree with the comments that have been shared, and you raised another project, but we could be talking about supporting the finalisation of the museum in June as well. There are multiple projects. Calico Cottage in Wallumbilla. We've been able to put some money towards that, but we all know that we'd like to allocate more. I mean, there are priorities right across the region. The point on this one is this is a huge build in the Roma pool, and that comes with a significant price tag. And if we're able to get 50% from the Commonwealth Government, that does free us up to look at other avenues, even our own borrowing capacity as a council for an asset like Councillor Burkett has highlighted in Mitchell. So there are other ways. This isn't the end for the work that needs to happen in Mitchell with the Hobson Place there. It maintains, its priority as part of council's overall plans for our smaller communities. It's just this one with the Commonwealth government announcing a $600 million overall program with $300 million in the first round. If we're able to get 50% of what we need to achieve the vision for the Denise Spencer pool, then I think we need to back it, and I urge councillors to vote for it.
On that note, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? That's 6-1 if I can call for a division. C2, request for concession on water charges 15001308. Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'll move that, better make sure it's, the council, one, approve the concession of $1,089.28 for water consumption charges. 2, write to the ratepayer advising A, that a water usage concession has been applied to the rate assessment. B, the waiver of legal fees has been declined as overdue debt was incurred prior to the excess water issue. And 3, request that the ratepayer enter into a mutually agreed payment arrangement for the balance of outstanding rates and charges.
Okay, so do we have a seconder? Councillor O'Neill. Councillor McMullen, did you have any interest in also putting a line in there that if there is financial hardship, they could apply for a concession in regards to those fees, or would you rather keep it the way it is?
I think just leave it the way it is for now, Mr Mayor,
Righto.
see what happens, yeah.
Okay, so does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Does the mover wish to speak?
Right, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, then we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 6-1 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to C3, Microsoft Enterprise Agreement Licensing Renewal. Do we have a mover? Councillor O'Neill.
I move that Council 1, pursuant to Section 234 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, proceed with the 3-year Microsoft Enterprise Agreement renewal for the total amount of $793,986 excluding GST under a local government arrangement through local by contract BUS 308 ICT MS rebate. 2, delegate the Chief Executive Officer to the Chief Executive Officer the authority to sign the Microsoft Enterprise Agreement renewal before the 16th of June 2023. And 3, the annual payments for the agreement will be due as follows: July 2023, July 2024 and July 2025, and will be sourced from GL 02141208320001.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Councillor Hancock. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yep.
7-0. Now, moving on to the next. C4, annual subscription 2023-24, Southwest Rock. Councillor Burkett.
I'd like to move that Council 1 support an additional $2,000 to the contribution of the 2023 contribution to support a budget overrun in relation to the coordination of the Water and Sewer Alliance Coordinator position. 2, endorse $53,000 as part of the 2023-24 financial year budget, being the 2023-24 subscription for the South West Rock, including $50,000 for the annual subscription and $3,000 for the coordinator of the SQWSA Alliance. 3, source the funds from GL 2021.2007.2001 membership and subscriptions.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hancock, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
No, thanks.
We're going to go to the vote. Yep,
thought you were going to
okay.
You got that early finger too.
Very keen. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, C5, wild dog barrier fence methodology, LGAQ consultation, Councillor Guthrie.
I'd like to move that Council 1 acknowledge the feedback deadline to LGAQ of the 16th of June 2023. 2, endorse option 1 as the preferred model and advise the LGAQ accordingly. 3, provide additional commentary on further recommendations to LGAQ when finalising the precept calculation options for then presentation to DAF and align to the synergies report. With A, clarify the nature of landholder partnerships. B, investigate methods whereby individual landholders can financially contribute to the wild dog barrier fence. And C, consider a broader precept calculation methodology with reference to the multiplier effect and the recency of the 2001-2006 stock numbers.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Councillor McMullen, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Councillor Guthrie.
I'd just like to say that there are 9 local government areas that are involved with the wild dog barrier fence, and the wild dog barrier fence is funded through a 50% from state government, 50% from those 9 local government areas. And this is a method of reviewing at the moment how the calculations are determined, and this will go to LGAQ to collate before then it goes to the state government. So we will then know down the track what it will transcribe into. But this is us being actively involved.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 6-1 if I can call for a division. Okay, moving on to C6. Assessment number 150209. Beg your pardon?
I've got a conflict.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
okay. Supplementary rate notice. Councillor Guthrie is going to leave the room. Okay, I would like to move that council extend the discount period. I think it should be 30th of July, really, because June's not a long time to give them opportunity to get it paid. Can we make it a bit longer?
Yes, certainly you can. You can make that. I just thought we could.
But by the time they pay it and that.
Yeah. Okay.
By the time we get back to them,
Sure.
and then
Okay.
they pay.
Yeah, by all means. I understand that. Yeah, because the next meeting's 28,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, at the end of July. On the grounds that this will allow council enough time to consider the request at the next meeting with the intention to make a decision before the 30th of June 2023. Do we? Yeah, future meeting, yeah. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Burkett, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
Just a question, Mr Mayor.
Please go ahead.
14th of June today, so our next meeting's 28th?
Correct.
Okay. No, just thinking. If
Well,
we
the
get that
decision will be made. Oh, you got 30th.
on the 28th, we'll have to, haven't got any other meetings. They'll give them a fine line if they want to pay it.
No,
Oh, no, we've
change it.
extended it to.
No,
All
for
right.
financial taxation reasons.
Oh,
Some
right,
people
okay.
Want
Yeah,
to wait
yeah,
to get them
yeah.
in by the 30,
Yeah, in that year,
but anyway, we've got that,
yeah.
We'll have it that next meeting, yeah.
Righto, we're going to go to the vote if no one wants to speak.
Oh, I do. Are you asking
please.
for and against?
Yeah, does anyone wish to speak? Councillor Hancock.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'm not against extending the discount period at all, but I felt that we could actually have dealt with this issue today. So I'm actually not voting for it because I just don't believe that. I think we should just dealt with the issue today and also extended the period for them to pay. So that's why I'm not voting for this.
Does anyone else wish to
There's enough numbers
speak?
in the chambers to vote for it, to vote for or against. Yeah.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Then we're going to the vote. All those in favour? All those
Yes.
against? Councillor Edwards, you're in favour, so that's 4-2, the way I read it, if I can call for a division. Okay, so we can get Councillor Guthrie back. C7, financial year 2024 fees and charges, airports. Do we have a mover?
Mr Mayor, I'll move, I better check up here, that council, one, increase all existing fees and charges from FY 23 for Maranoa Regional Council's airport by 5%, including passenger head tax or landing charges. 2, remove the charges, passenger tax and security screening, commuter-charter, child and adult, passenger tax and security screening, passenger transport, child. 3, amend the Roma parking charges, other aircraft after 1 day to a rate per tonne maximum takeoff weight, MTOW, and reduce the rate to $7.75 per tonne pro rata. 4, continue the waiving of fees for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, Life Flight and Angel Flight use of council's airports. That's it, is it?
Yeah, I'll second that. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak to it? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm going to speak to it. I had initially formed the view that I was going to vote against this on the basis of, policy decisions that have been made by this council in relation to the airport. But I recognise that there is significant increases occurring to the cost of doing business, and we're, as a council, are not immune to that. And so therefore, I think a increase of 5%, which is below the current rate of inflation, is something that we need to do. And even more so, point 4, I think it's vital that we show our support for the Royal Flying Doctors, Life Flight and Angel Flight in the use of council's airport and the work that they do in supporting our community by waiving those fees. So on that basis, I'm going to support it.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote.
But I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Just number 1 there, increase all existing fees and charges from FY 23. I just think that should be, it's a bit abbreviated. I don't think it should be financial year 23, 2012. From financial year 2023. I think that.
Through the chair, for the 2023-24 financial year. Is that better?
What's that?
For the 2023-24 financial year.
Sorry. Sorry.
So is the mover and the mover happy to just put in 2023-24 in there?
Oh, that's fine, yeah. 4 took.
Righto. So, and I'm happy with that as seconder. So,
Clarify.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. C8, draft debt borrowing policy 23-24. Councillor Burkett.
Council 1, receive and note the draft debt borrowing policy 2023-24. 2, approve the draft debt borrowing policy 2023-24 to be included in the final draft of the 2023-24 budget papers.
We have a seconder, councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, so we're moving on to C9.
Which is page 106.
106, thank you. C9, presentation of draft budget 2023-24. Oh, that's right, yeah. C9A, presentation of draft 2023-24 excluding projects titled Roma Student Hostel Upgrade Works Work Order 20551 Regional University Centre Maranoa Mitchell RSL Upgrade Kitchen Project. So that's all in one. They're excluding, so that's right, okay. I'd like to move that the draft budget for 2023-24 as table be received excluding projects titled Roma Student Hostel Upgrade Works Work Order 20551 Regional University Centre Maranoa Mitchell RSL Upgrade Kitchen Project. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay.
You've got C10, which is page 131.
I've got C9, C9B, have we?
Oh, of course, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, of course you have.
What's that, sorry? Oh, he's separate, is he?
Maybe you wanted to speed it up a bit.
He's 9C. You're in the C grade, you're C9C.
Well, he
Just too keen, Councillor
No,
Burke.
we just finished saying that. He said we thought they were all put in together.
Okay, C9B, presentation of draft budget 2023-24 only projects titled Roma Student Hostel Upgrade Works Work Order 20551 Regional University Centre Maranoa. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
I'll move, Mr Mayor, that the draft budget for 2023-24 as tabled be received for the projects Roma Student Hostel Upgrade Works Work Order 20551 Regional University Centre Maranoa.
Okay, we have a seconder, Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
6-0. Now it's right to go. So is it C9C, Kel?
Yes.
C9C, presentation of draft budget 2023-24 only project title Mitchell RSL Upgrade Kitchen Project only. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that the draft budget for 2023-24 as table be received for the Mitchell RSL Upgrade Kitchen Project.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
6-0. Right, we're on to C10.
Which is page 131.
131.
131.
I think we were going to, yeah, that one, I think we're going to late.
Close your ear, Mark, voice.
Okay, on C10, ratepayer supplementary notice process, I move that we lay... Oh, you've got a conflict with this one as well. Okay, Councillor Guthrie's left the room. move that we lay this on the table till a future meeting. All those in favour?
Yes.
All those against? 4-2, if I can call for a division. Councillor O'Neill and Hancock were against. Okay, now moving on to C11, Register of General Costs, Recovery Fees and Commercial Charges. Do we have a mover? Councillor Hancock.
I move that council receive and note the report.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Burkett. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, moving on. C12, Waste Management Operations, Extension of Domestic Waste Collection Contracts.
And through the chair, if I could just add the date in somewhere in there, approve the 3-year extension. Through the chair, actually, there's a deadline of 16th of June. How should we word that? We need to insert that in there to make sure that we...
We just have a deadline of the 16th of June to advise our contractors, give them the opportunity as a notice of period.
So if we just did point 4, advise all...
Yeah,
our
point 3 or
contracts-
4, I just can't read it there, sorry Kelly.
Yep, advise all our contractors.
There's already point 6, so it'd have to be point 7.
But by approving it today on the 14th, we've given you the green light. So
Yes.
you
Oh, okay, I just wasn't quite sure whether you ratified it at the next council meeting or...
No, now.
Minutes, but yes.
Okay,
Once it happens, it happens. We just
All right, thank
confirm
you.
minutes, but that's not changing a
okay,
decision.
well,
so.
that's fine then. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry about
who
that,
would
I was-
like to read out C12?
I'll read it, Mr Mayor. I better read off the board. I'll move that council one approve the 3-year extension of the current general waste collection service contract with Bracker Proprietary Limited, CAN 131726899.
That should be ACN.
Yeah.
The system keeps auto-correcting it to CAN.
ACN 131726899 as trustee for B&R Gordon Family Trust, ABN 5102969096, to undertake the general waste collection service contract in accordance with the conditions and requirements of the current contract executed on the 5th of February 2016 for A, Service Area C, Roma and Hodson, B, Service Area D, Wallumbilla, Jackson and Newbar. 2, approve the 3-year extension of the current general waste collection service contract with Bracker Proprietary Limited, ACN 131726899, as trustee for B&R Gordon Family Trust, ABN 5102969096, to undertake the general waste collection service contract in accordance with the conditions and requirements of the current contract that commenced on the 2nd of September 2021, A, Service Area A, in June. 3, approve the 3-year extension for the current general waste collection service contract with AL Cherry and MG Pierce, ABN 96421481051, in partnership to undertake the general waste collection service contracts in accordance with the conditions and requirements of the current contract executed on the 5th of February 2016 for A, Service Area B, Mungallala, Mitchell, Amby, Muckadilla, Dunkeld and Begonia. 4, approve the 3-year extension of the current general waste collection service contract with GE Grams, ABN 25588181896, to undertake the general waste collection service contract in accordance with the conditions and requirements of the current contract executed on the 24th of June 2016 and as amended date 6th of September 2018, A, Service Area E, Surat. 5, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to notify the respective contractors within the notice of intention period of Council's decision above and to execute the necessary contract extensions in accordance with this resolution. 6, note the additional context of this report associated with the anticipated future charges to occur in the waste
Changes.
to occur in the waste management operation area over the next 1 to 3 years, and other opportunities to improve waste management and awareness in the Maranoa regional.
Congratulations, councillor McMullen.
Is that it? Oh.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that.
I didn't really hear it. Do you want to do that one again?
Does anyone wish to speak? We should give councillor McMullen some rest time not to speak. Well, we're going to go to the vote then, if no one wishes to speak. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay, now,
LC1.
yeah, LC1, thank you. LC1, Recycling Enterprise Precinct Planning. Do we have a mover? Councillor McMullen.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that Council 1 endorse an application to the Recycling Enterprise Precinct Planning Program to the Department of State Development, Local Government, Infrastructure and Planning for feasibility planning for a waste solar panel preparatory precinct including wind farm materials, recycling hub located in Roma, and 2, the application to be submitted no later than Wednesday, the 21st, close of business on Wednesday, the 21st of June 2023.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie, any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak?
Mr Mayor, I just think it's going to be a fairly good initiative. I can say, Kylie Hughes, the boss of State Development's waiting to endorse this if we send it straight in to go to the next level.
Righto. Okay, so if no one else has wished to speak, we'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. And I think we've got an LC2, haven't we?
Which is now
Which one's that? LC2 in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LC2.
8.2.
Yeah,
No, it wouldn't be that one.
that's right.
Here we are. Yeah, LC2, trade waste applications excluding line item 50 of the existing business trade waste spreadsheet.
I got out for the entire round in the end, so I'll.
All right, well, we'll just do trade waste applications then. Councillor O'Neill's left the room. I'd like to move that
Sorry, with Councillor O'Neill's declaration, well, that might have to change.
Yeah, I've just changed it to trade waste
Yeah, but his actual
application.
declaration needs to say that he got out for the whole thing, not just line 50. Would you think?
But didn't he change his? Oh, you mean he hasn't actually said it in open yet?
He said his declaration, but he said it just about getting it for line 50. I think he needs to change his declaration. Sorry, I know it's 5 to 6. So we haven't done anything.
Oh, you haven't done anything?
I've just come and got you.
Oh,
because
No, well,
you-
councillor Hancock asked, did you want to change
Oh,
it?
that's a fair point.
Because in there you just have it on for the one line.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's not true.
Yeah, okay. So Mayor, I'll amend my declaration of interest on what is LC2 now, trade waste applications, declaring council as Councillor Cameron O'Neill. Person with interest is the Roma Rural Student Hostel. The particulars of the interest, I'm a committee member of the Roma Rural Student Hostel, and they are listed as an existing business that has had the trade waste application fee waived. Line item of the existing business trade waste spreadsheet that's been provided. Type of conflict is a prescribed conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Okay. Okay, so on the trade waste applications, I'd like to move that council, one, waive the trade waste application fee for existing businesses for category 1 and category 2 trade waste during the 2023-24 financial year. And 2, engage a suitable supplier as necessary to support the completion of the trade waste audit. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Guthrie. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? We're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
6-0. Will I do that? Will we do them 8.2?
Yeah, Councillor McMullen's report, that's that one.
33.
Finally, yeah.
33. Yeah, 8.2, introduction of curbside pickup up to implementing recycling. Councillor McMullen.
I'd like to move that council, as part of the next waste collection contract tender, include an additional yellow bin suitable for the collection of recyclables. 2, conduct an extensive community recycling education campaign to support the rollout of the bins, including paper-based, social media and face-to-face. And 3, explore small pilot recycling.
Through the chair, was it immediately explored?
No, I just left that one. Dot point 3, sorry, immediately explore small pilot recycling programs that support better recycling outcomes prior to the development of formalised contracts, which may take some time.
Okay.
Happy to second. I've just got, just for clarity, Deputy Mayor, would you put in number 1, yellow lidded bins?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Righto, we've got a seconder, Councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? Does anyone wish to speak? Then we're going to go.
You going to speak?
No, well, Mr Mayor, I think this just shores up if this gets up, that we are going to definitely start the recycling program, in particular the yellow lid bins in the next contracts, and get out to the community and start educating them now, because everyone, when the time comes, everybody will have to be on board with them. And the other one is there's a heap more programs that'll follow on after the strategic waste. When I say heap more, there's some more after this Darling Down Southwest plan comes through, and it'll be can be a follow on from the one we've just approved for the other one, yeah, for the.
Okay, so does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor O'Neill.
I'm going to speak just very briefly. I'm supporting this because clearly the Queensland Government have determined us to be a large enough population that we are having to address similar waste issues to much larger regions. I think it is prudent that we right now start to look at what that means in terms of recyclables. So I'm happy to jump on board with this so that we are well and truly in, that we get our planning and our ducks aligned to when it's going to happen. So I support it and thank the Deputy Mayor for bringing it forward.
Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? I'll speak. I'll certainly support this. I think recycling and actually reuse and the circular economy is the future, and we need to turn it from a negative cost into a positive. But I'm also very got a big belief in point 3 because I don't think we need to go the big ticket approach when it comes to recycling always. And I think investigating and finding ways that we can do it in other ways at the curbside might actually mean that there'll be more jobs for our smaller communities and more jobs as far as job programs for the Maranoa. And look forward to operationally the staff getting on with that and coming up with solutions that can be trialled. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak? Does the move wish to sum up?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
7-0. Okay. 12.1.
conflict for this one that I haven't declared yet.
Okay, please go ahead.
Oh, that's right, because we needed the quorum. We didn't have.
Oh,
didn't have a
yes,
quorum,
right, I was
yeah.
trying to work
I
that
can
out.
do that, yeah.
Couldn't remember.
This is one I've got to-
You've got one too.
Have you haven't both declared? No.
No, not 12. Yeah, 12.1, that's right.
Yeah, you
that's
would
right.
both.
Jeff, you're number one, mate, on the list.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You had
12.1, declaration of interest, conflict of interest. 12.1, request for tender 28039, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Roadworks Package 1. Declaring councils, myself, Jeff McMullen, person with interest, myself. Particulars of interest, I have a business arrangement with DMAC. Type of conflict, declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter's voted on, discussed and voted on.
Okay, councillor Guthrie.
My conflict of interest is with regard to item number 12.1. The description is request for tender 23039, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Roadworks, Package 1. The declaring councillor is myself, Councillor Julie Guthrie. The person with the interest is myself, as well as my husband Ross and my son Nick, all of whom are equal partners in Guthrie Pastoral Group. The particulars of the interest is that Guthrie Pastoral Group land holdings are accessed by the Gunnerwin East Road, the Comine East Road and Ted's Road. It's a declarable conflict of interest, and I'll leave the room while the matter is discussed and voted on.
Both councillor McMullen and Guthrie have left the room. Councillor Burkett,
I'll move the motion if you want.
please go ahead.
I move that Council 1 select Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC Roma, as the preferred tenderer for tender 23039, restoration of public assets, Bungil North Roadworks Package 1, for the contract sum of $5,234,124.50, exclusive of the GST, which includes $2,137,229.15 of contract work at $3,096,895.35 of provisional items. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to enter into final negotiations with Roma Earth Moving Proprietary Limited, trading as DMAC Roma, and form a contract to carry out the works if the final terms are acceptable.
So I'm just going to clarify, I may not have said the title for this one, so I'll just say it. 12.1, request for tender 23039, restoration of essential public assets, flood damage, Bungil North Roadworks Package 1. Is that correct, Deputy Director? Yeah, okay, so we have a mover.
Second it.
We have a seconder. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
5-0. Okay,
Or the item without notice.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Kel. I've written 3 notes to myself and I still missed it.
Okay, I'd like to move a motion without notice, Lake Neverfill water pipe, and move that be put on the agenda. We have a seconder, councillor O'Neill. Any opposition? We'll go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'd like to move that council provide assistance, and to provide a solution to repair the main water pipe to Lake Neverfill that has incurred some damage, and a report be provided to a future meeting with costings.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you actually mean council investigate a solution to repair the main water pipe, not?
Investigate, righto. Well, that's probably a better word than provide assistance. Investigate, so, yeah.
And I was just wondering, Mr Mayor, whether we could say and bring back to the next meeting, because I just think if it's...
Yeah, no, I think it will be coming to the next meeting, or it might even need a special meeting if it's a real issue. We may have to do that, but it's just actually obviously council got a lot of, I don't mind the next meeting, but I'd rather just keep it open for future meeting in case it's a special meeting.
Sometimes, I'm still waiting a report back from last year to come to a future meeting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes it just doesn't come back.
Well, yeah, okay, so we can say the next meeting, but it might be a special meeting, so does that keep it open for a special meeting if we say the next meeting? Like, we just don't lock it in.
We'll keep it broad and say next meeting or a future meeting, just in
Righto.
case one's
Okay.
earlier.
Mr Mayor, can I just support it? If the council investigate a solution, does that imply that it's our responsibility? Because we don't know whose responsibility it is in relation to the damage that's occurred.
No, I think it's just investigate how do we fix the leak, and for council's benefit, council has actually put money into that pipeline. So it is community infrastructure, but it's not making any commitment except for our staff to go and have a look at it.
No, but I mean, we're going to investigate who's responsible for the damage that's occurred.
Well, yeah, we can put that in, but the main thing is how do we fix the hole in the
We
pipe?
investigate a solution and who is responsible in the repairing of the main water pipe for Lake Neverfield.
Right.
As it has been damaged.
Yeah,
Just it leaves it wide to understand.
righto.
The issue.
Yeah,
I'm happy to second it.
righto. Any opposition? Then we're going to go to the vote. All those in favour?
Yes.
That's 7-0. Okay, any further business, councillors? We'll close the meeting at 6:10 PM and thank you for your attendance.